Whoopsies, I'm late by a minute. Excellent connection from YouTube. What a world. I only have 3 people waiting. That's relatively rare. Relatively. Not that unusual, to be clear. I haven't streamed lately, so it's not that surprising that, you know, people would be like, oh, gotta wait for Soul's streams. It's not obvious I've moved away from streaming because I just... It felt like there was little benefit to doing it, other than when I just had lots of rambly thoughts to rambles about. So, that's what today is. Yeah, hello. So, we are not doing any account in specific today. The Abyss did reset, so we're probably going to do some Abyss today. For funsies. I've got plenty of content planned for the next patch. I'll have some thoughts on it, but I kind of wanted this stream to be a little bit of a reflection on version 4.2. This character is so freaking weird. I still have not activated. I'll probably do a video on this. I still haven't activated her C1 or C2. Honestly, in hindsight, I having used her so much at C0, I think it would have been maybe better off with not having her C2, but at the same time, I do have some specific things planned that abuse the fact that C2 lets you get maximum fanfare, the maximum damage bonus on Farina without, you know, just with like prototype Amber, which is a big part of the reason why I wanted C2. So, anyways, but yeah, I got like a whole bunch of recording I have to do of like teams with Farina at C0 before I do C2, and the reason is because I want to be able to like have that video and show people. So, you know, if I have a situation like people have in the future where like, you have C2 Nahida, which I would turn off C2 Nahida if I could, because it just doesn't offer enough benefit for the annoying downside of people being like, you have C2 Nahida, you're completely unrelatable. It's like, no, at most it's a 20%. Like, the team I'm going to see, the team you're going to see in today, Nahida is a meaningful damage upgrade to this team. But, like, you can, like, subtract 20% from your damage numbers. It's not that hard. Anyways, hello. The thing I was trying to explain is, like, C2 Farina is a supportive constellation in a similar way to Nahida, but in a sneakier way than Nahida. Like, Nahida is just like, if you're doing Dendro things do 20% more damage. okay. Like, cool. It's just like a really strong supportive like, this constellation is very strong. It's one of the few constellations that's strong enough that I think it could be worth going for, because it's a constellation that benefits other characters, right? Like, C2 Nahida is Yai's best constellation. It's Tignari's best constellation. Well, okay, Nahida doesn't necessarily always play with Tignari, but it can be, you know. So, anyways, the point is like, C2 Nahida can be the strongest damage upgrade for, as far as like just wishing to get damage upgrades more. C2 Farina is like not a damage upgrade in the direct way, right? It has indirect supportive utility by unlocking more team versatility. And one of those examples is this very team. And I don't know, Farina has caused me in 4.2 to like tie back to like what I'm talking about here. I went the wrong direction. Farina, how do I live with the red dot though? What red dot? I'm confused. The Farina red dot. I mean, it's fine. I live. I don't know if you guys noticed, but at some point in the past, if you are someone who like doesn't activate C6 Bennett, you used to have a permanent in the top right corner. You used to have a permanent red dot in the top right, if I recall, whenever you had constellations. But now it only shows like it doesn't show in the top right anymore. It only shows in this screen itself. So it's not nearly as annoying. It's annoying to me when it was like in this corner up here, in the top right, but it's not anymore. So anyways, I oftentimes have been forgetting about it, funnily enough, because of that. Because, you know, I don't constantly think about her C2 every day and every night. But anyways, Farina's C2 is going to take some testing. It's a weird circumstance, and I want to have video to point to so people can be like, you know, here's what it actually does, because I think that's useful, particularly when she reruns, right? Like, part of me wants to not activate her C2 until she reruns. which would be really dumb. I waited 6 months to activate this constellation. No, I'm probably gonna activate it in 4.3 because with this hybrid riding team, I actually really want to activate it. For reasons I'm probably not gonna get too into. Well, maybe I will. I don't know. I'm probably not gonna get too into it in this video. But can you not? Can't see my health bar. My secondary display is blocking it. Fix that. Push the angle down a little bit. Okay. You can't see that, but I have like a little secondary display that's angled up below my main display, and it was covering my health bar. The Tales from the Court, huh? Okay, well. You know what's really dumb? I'm going to mention this. So, Fontaine likes to really give me one, like this is the same commission I think I've had for like 4 days in a row, and I refuse to do it. I hate that commission. It's awful. So, I've just been doing exploration, right? But I've got this weird thing going on where like I haven't touched, like as far as 4.2 thoughts go, I have basically not touched this region, and that's despite the fact that I really enjoyed exploring Fontaine. I really do enjoy exploring Fontaine. I've done I haven't done as much exploration in the new section from 4.1, but I barely touched 4.2, and that's not because like, oh, I hate the new areas. That's because they've conditioned me now with the new. I really dislike the commission system change. Okay, I shouldn't say I really dislike it. I dislike that they put in the least effort possible to improving the commission system. It is technically better, but now the game has me patterned into being like, you know what? It's really useful having an area I haven't explored much, because anytime I have like a commission I don't want to do, like these awful things, all I need to do is go to the area I haven't explored, find a couple chests. It takes like not very long at all. It's, you know, I get a little bit of exploration and then I'm done, right? So MiHoYo, by their new commission system, has made me explore less. They've made me do something that I used to be like, all right, I'm gonna just explore for 5 hours in Genshin, right? And now they make me, no, I can't. I don't want to do that because I want to leave exploration available so that I can complete commissions. That's so stupid. That's so really, really stupid. And I don't get why they did that, right? Because the main problem with the commission system, in my opinion, isn't the small little easy to complete commissions. And like I get why it needs to exist for like trying to get people to log in. It's a live service game, whatever, right? I'm not gonna begrudge it for existing on a design level. It's a common thing. Would I do it if I had to make a game like this? Probably not. But you know, I get why it exists. The worst part about the commission system is always these awful quests. You usually have one a day, right? It's these awful ones, and like this one I think is one of the ones, and the reason I want to do it is one of the ones where if I recall, maybe I will do it to show it as an example. But it's one of those ones where you have to like follow the Melusine, and it like trots along at the pace of a snail for like 3 minutes straight. It's probably not actually 3 minutes, but like an annoyingly long time, and it's not enjoyable. It's annoying, and the dialogue is usually pretty bad in most of these commissions. Like the commission with the children hiding in Fontaine, in the underworld of Fontaine, is truly awful. One of the worst examples of dialogue in this game I've ever seen. Like how not like children those children are written, and I want to avoid those, right? And they added a commission system that lets me avoid those. Cool. That's technically net positive, right? But the way that they did that is by, you know, completing quests, but quests usually take longer than doing the dailies, right? And so it's only something like if I happen to want to do quests anyways, or if I'm doing like event quests happens to be a minor benefit. So again, it's a minor benefit. And then exploration, like getting chests give you it. And that's cool. Like chests is cool and all to give you it, but you can't stockpile them. You have to like open the chests today if you want credit towards your commissions, right? And that's really dumb, in my opinion. And this is something I didn't have as much in-depth thoughts about it before, like when they added it in 4.1, but particularly I've noticed this since they added the new area, and my brain has been like, I need to leave the new area unexplored so that I can just go to it as need be for commissions. For exploration. And so like they could have avoided this, right? By one, like being that exploration is finite and they're giving daily commission points towards exploration, for exploration, you could have just had a stockpile system, and you could have either limited the stockpile, right? Or you could have like made it so you could only, use if you stockpile 100 days worth of commissions, you can only complete 2 out of 4 of your commissions per day with your stockpiled stuff or something, or 1 out of your 4 years with your stockpiled stuff. That would have been enough, right? And then it doesn't have the problem of disincentivizing me from exploring, because of that, right? I would be able to explore for 3 hours, get 100 points of commission, whatever, stockpiled, and that's cool. And they can put some kind of limit on it, so it's not just I can complete 20 months worth of commissions by a few hours of exploration, right? That's not what I'm saying. Where did I freaking teleport to? Oh yeah, we'll go do this commission so you can see. I think this is the commission I mentioned where you just follow a Melusine for 12 years. I read my commissions. No, not usually, not anymore. But like some of them are not bad. Like commissions initially in like Mondstadt, I think are actually like generally okay. They're kind of interesting as far as like gleaning into like the lore of like the people in the area, but like they've just gotten worse and worse over time. So I do try to pay some attention to what the commissions are about, but like they're generally pretty bad. And just don't use this system if you don't like it. Yeah, I don't use it. That's my point. That's my point, Tony. It's like everyone complained about the commission system, and they did the lowest effort thing they possibly could have done to fix this system. They basically didn't try, in my opinion, and it really annoys me because now it means, anyone else complaining about in the future is just a nitpicker, right? Like, oh, we already addressed the system. We don't need to fix it anymore, right? That's going to be the internal attitude in MiHoYo. Is they're not going to address the commission system unless they get a ton more complaints about it. But most of the people that are playing right now are just like, yeah, I like the new commission system. Like, it's better than it was before, technically. But it's the barest minimum of effort they could have put in. And the thing that's most annoying to me is, like, even outside of, like, the stockpiling suggestion, what's more annoying to me is that, like, they could have avoided this, too, by doing what they did in Star Rail, where in Star Rail, wrong screen. In Star Rail, the commission system equivalent always has something that is like your normal daily farming activity. It's not always necessarily something you're going to do, but it always has something that you could do that's like, you would spend your resin to complete one of your dailies kind of situation. Like, oh my god, why did you start turning around? Like the fact that they don't give you any commission points, right? Like all they would have had to do to make me be like, yeah, this is way better than before because I can avoid these dumb commissions, is make it so, spending 160 resin per day gives you one commission equivalent. It really annoys me how little they tried to make this better. And part of the reason I mention this is because, like, this is not like Genshin 4.2 thoughts, by the way. I'm sorry I got distracted because of this stupid commission. The reason it annoys me in particular is because it makes me worried about like 4.3 has all kinds of artifact quality of life things, and that's cool. It annoys me that they're doing an artifact like filtering whole menu system, which is good. It's an improvement, but like. And I don't think that's going to be bad in any meaningful, notable way from what I saw. But I don't get why they did that before doing loadouts, right? Like, just for the love of everything, MiHoYo, add a loadouts. Either add it as a subsection in the artifacts page, or, in my opinion, just add it as a page below artifacts and weapons. Because you need to have loadouts that do weapons and artifacts at the same time, and it just needs to be, you go into the screen as a menu where you have a list of, a limit of like 5 loadouts saved per character or something, and that's all it needs to be. And it's just where I save a preset for artifacts and weapons on a character, and then you have to have some kind of menu pop-up wherein if I hit switch to this loadout, it says, oh, this will take a weapon from Nahida and the artifact from Bennett or whatever the F. And that's all it needs. That's all it has to be. And from what I've seen, it seems like they put more effort into this freaking filtering system being new and whatever than they put in than the effort that it would take to do loadouts in my mind. Like I don't understand why loadouts is not first. And I'm assuming it's still coming because they mentioned it in the dev discussion. But I'm a little bit nervous that they're just going to half-ass it, particularly because of the fact that a lot of people are when they ask for loadouts, they ask for artifact load. I don't know why I said artifact that way. They ask for artifact loadouts. We don't need just artifact loadouts. Weapons have to be in it. A weapon is a big part of the total stats that your character has, right? Like my Farina build changes not just based on the artifacts on her, but based on the weapon on her. I might want to change Key of Kasha's suit to put Key of Kasha's suit on Farina in a number of teams that she's on, but that means I have to change artifacts alongside it. I have to change both. And an artifact system, loadout system, if they truly do an artifact loadout system and it's like half-assed in some way, like it only has one loadout configuration or only does artifacts or whatever else, I'm going to be so mad because they're never going to touch it again is what it is, kind of the feeling I get. But anyways, done complaining about that. Sylveon, thanks for the 11 membership. Yesterday I had a commission I hate, so I decided to do a quest instead. Got locked into a quest for an hour. Yeah, exactly. That's why I don't care about the quest aspect. Okay, we're probably gonna go to Abyss while I ramble about more things. I hate Star Rail commissions. I think Star Rail commissions are just about 20 times better than Genshin. Star Rail takes so much less time for me to just log into and do them quick. It's just I don't love them in some ways because like some of them are dumb, but they're a lot freaking better than Genshin. What set is better for Risley? Cryo Hunter, probably Hunters. Realistically, in my opinion. I also don't know what you mean by cryo. Oh, you mean freeze. If you're doing freeze Rio, I mean, technically if you're doing freeze Rio, then Blizzard Strayer is technically better. But you're assuming, so the problem here, the problem with Blizzard Strayer, right, is that you'd be assuming that you're always getting the additional crit rate from being frozen, and as soon as you're not getting this 20% crit rate from an enemy being frozen, 4-piece Mara should say Hunters is better, and being that you might actually want to play Risley in a non-freeze team, like this set is not that much worse for freeze, right? It functionally. You should keep up the stacks most of the time, right? It functionally should give you, 4% less crit rate than Blizzard Strayer. But it will give you more crit rate than Blizzard Strayer even in like a freeze team when you're, against an enemy that can't be frozen. So bosses primarily, right? And then notably, it also works for other builds. So prioritizing a universal build over a theoretically slightly better when enemies are specifically frozen build, it's a no-brainer to me. But if you already have a really good Blizzard Strayer artifacts, if you're wondering if it's worth farming just for Risley, not necessarily, but this domain is really good in general, so I think it's worth farming. Blizzard is not a bad artifact set, but Blizzard, the interesting thing with Marshall's Hunter is like the big thing that made freeze a relevant thing to do was actually Blizzard Strayer, right? But now that another artifact set exists that gives you free crit rate, I honestly think freeze is kind of trash. It's pretty bad in my opinion. It has crowd control potential, but they usually are designing abysses not to where you need to group enemies smartly to a degree that it almost, other than as long as you abuse the behavior and movements of the enemies, it matters less that would prevent them from doing something. So I don't know, it can be like a form of pseudo shielding, so it's not like it's technically useless. Freeze is interesting. I'm not trying to say they should change freeze to be freeze needs to be extra damage or whatever. I'm not saying it just needs to be the equivalent of melt or vaporize. But the number one thing I think freeze should have done, and you can say freezing bosses obviously would be a good thing. The number one thing I think it should have done is freeze should have scaled on EM. like whoever triggers the freeze the elemental mastery should have increased the duration of the freeze of the character triggering it, right? Like the fact that there's like no meaningful interaction with the freeze mechanic and modifying it in some way is kind of what makes it poo-poo. But yeah. So anyways, as far as 4.2 goes, you know, before I go into the best here, actually, 4.2 has been really weird. So already talked about Frina a bit, and like if you saw like during the 4.2 beta, so this is during 4.1, any of my talkings about like good God, did I spend so much time analyzing specifics about this character, and I was pretty much mostly right in my analyses. There's some people on my Discord server that like thought I was overhyping her, and I think she's the most mechanically interesting character, and that's what I like tried to reiterate. I think that she's the most mechanically interesting character that's been released since I started playing the game. I don't think she is the most mechanically interesting character. That award probably goes to this butthole, but that's sarcasm. He's very good. He's not a butthole. He's a kind-hearted soul who kills everything in his sight. And anyways, Frina's just super interesting to think about how to use her. In my opinion, and I think she's actually really, really well balanced. At C0, at least. I haven't played with C2 or whatever yet. I'll probably think she's a bit strong on C2. Go figure. But, anyways, the main thing that I can say with her is that like she's caused me to invest. Like you see my Mora, I went down to 800,000 more earlier this week. I only have 2.4 million because I was spent a crap ton on other things. Like Frina is the main reason I decided to. The first time I had to do top ups in a while was to get this weapon from Raiden. I'll have several videos on this Raiden, on hybrid Raiden. I should specify both on my main account and from polearms only because I genuinely believe this weapon. I'm not saying pull for this weapon, to be clear. I want to be abundantly clear. I don't think you should just go impulse pull this weapon. Wait for my video to go like in depth on it, but if you want to play carry Raiden, I think this weapon enables hybrid Raiden to a degree that's more relevant than like how Frina enables hybrid Raiden. Like you can do hybrid Raiden without this weapon. Particularly with Frina's release helps out hybrid Raiden quite a lot. But this weapon enables hybrid Raiden to be a thing more than Frina enables hybrid Raiden to be a thing. And this is with and this is a C0 Raiden, right? Like C0 carry Raiden, in my opinion, is pretty bad. C0 carry Raiden with this weapon is super fun, and like it's the best of both worlds. You can get all the juicy transformative reaction Raiden value, plus getting big Raiden crits, like big satisfying Raiden playstyle, plus way higher team versatility. It's ridiculous. And like I wouldn't have gone for this weapon. I would have spent money. This is the first time I've spent money on my main account like this year, since like the beginning of this year. And I don't regret it. and like I got the game was like F me. Like I had to go to pity 3 times. And I got this weapon, which I think is going to remain level 1 forever. And then I got Aquila, which is, I guess, nice because now I have maximum Bennett buff stat stick, but I'm still 90% of the time going to use Freedom Sword, so cool. Yay. I got 2 useless things. So it cost me like $100 to get Status God Sands. But it gives me value. Like Raiden Shogun, if you've watched my streams before, I have said before that she was the main character I regretted getting. Before getting Status God Sands for her, I have not used Raiden in like a year and a half on this account. And I'm now enjoying playing her again. And this is not necessarily it's an option to do March Say Hunter on Raiden when you're using Farina with her. In some ways it's better, in some ways it's worse than doing Emblem, but I think I'm of the opinion that I like Emblem a little bit more, but I don't have the Emblem artifacts on my main account quite yet to do a good comparison between the two. I mean, I might not have good enough artifacts by the time I make this video for Emblem. I might just have to like show it in like a screenshot of here's damage calculations to compare the two. I already talked about the Farina constellations because Farina constellations are supportive constellation, and I need to test the value, or test to see how valuable they are. Because the main reason I got Farina C2 was the creative flexibility, and particularly for things like hybrid Raiden, right? So like hybrid Raiden, for example, I'm using Bennett here. Bennett is a healer for Frina, and Bennett works better than I expected as a healer for Frina, to be clear. But Frina C2 makes it so you can get, you know, maximum damage bonus with non-ideal healers. Like, the healing from Prototype Amber is enough to max out Frina's damage bonus with her C2. That's the relevance of Frina's C2 to me. And that means I can, you know, in this team, for example, I can just use Prototype Amber on Nahida as my healer. The team's going to be more fragile, yes. And then I can, like, have the freedom to swap Bennett for different characters. So that's part of why, like, I wanted C2 Frina. Not for just this team, but for that concept in general. It enables Frina to use more non-ideal healers and still be a very relevant damage buffer. Like I got her C2 Frina for the relevance of, you know, doing the less optimal things is not as bad when you have other things that make, you know, like Frina's damage percent bonus can make non-optimal things better, right? And Frina's C2 can help with that a lot by making it so you don't have to be heck-bent on having an optimal healer, right? So, anyways, Hybrid Raiden is super interesting, and I would not have invested in that. I'm using it as an example. I'll have, you know, a full video going in depth on that, but I would not have invested in this. I would not have leveled 90 Raiden. I would not have then leveled up Sara. I'm leveling up Sara in conjunction. I'm basically done with Sara. All because of Frina. And then, like, I farmed a whole bunch of, like, VV and, like, leveled up Jean a bit to be able, and, like, got R5 Aminoma. Like, there's so many things I had to do in version 4.2, all random arse things, all because of this friggin' lady. So on top of her being, you know, HP scaling on her own and draining a crap ton of resources, also it really hurt. I accidentally wasted like 500,000 more at level 9ing her skill. I put her skill to level 9 before I got her burst to level 9 by accident. I just misclicked. So, anyways, this character is kind of annoying in that sense, in that, like, she suddenly makes it so there's, you know, reason to level up your healer's abilities more, right? Like, my Baiju's skill before Farina was level 6, and it didn't matter because, like, before Farina, you didn't really need any extra healing for the most part, because, like, you only need enough healing to keep you alive, right? Well, no, now you actually need enough healing to fulfill the damage percent bonus of Frina. So, like, okay, well, I guess I gotta level up Baiju more. I guess I've gotta... And now, like, Prototype Amber, I want all the Catalyst billets. Please, Mihoyo, give me more Catalyst billets so I can get 8,000 Prototype Ambers, please. So, this character's so weird. I like her a lot on a mechanical level. So, yeah. Frozenara's enabling C6 DPS Shenhe with Chongyun makes me sad because I don't really like her. I mean, I'm relatively indifferent on her personality. I liked her initially. I think the tragic aspect of Rena is, like, okay. It was done decently well, better than I expected. But then her story quest made her worse, in my opinion. So, I don't know. I think they had a good idea in some ways in her story quest, but then they executed it maybe the worst way they possibly could. And that kind of lowered my opinion of her as a character. But I don't know. I think she's a really one of the better written characters probably in the game. But if you don't like her, you don't have to use her. She's certainly not a must pull, but she's certainly in the echelon of characters that are enablers for other characters, and that's, like, exactly what I like in this game. So yeah. Yeah, Farina made me enjoy the game more. She's been an absurd drain on my resources. That is a good way to state it. Raya. I like the game more on mechanical level than I did before because of Farina's assistance. Not that I didn't like it before, to be clear. But yeah, so this whole patch has just been very distracted by, like, Farina adjacent things. Like, I had to start a big ass. It's been a while since I had, like, a to-do list that I had to make for my main account. Because normally it's just like I get focused on one thing at a time, right? But then, like, Farina made it so my to-do list had like 10 items on it. And it's still got like 5. Like, what's my freaking to-do list? And let me go check. I think I still have like 5 items on my to-do list. Do. I just got a text message from someone. Hey, I'm making Chinese food tonight. You want to come over and eat? This is not someone I know. Should I respond to them? I don't like Chinese food. So, well, I don't like most food. Then maybe that's what I should say. I just say I don't eat food. Anyways, my notes. So currently I have on my notes Raiden talents 9/10. That's probably gonna be like deprioritized until after my video because it's just too expensive. And it'll be good enough. I need to level more Fab weapons because Farina has, Fab sword, and she's basically tied to Fab sword. Not always. Like sometimes I'll use Key of Kaja's suit. That's why I put Nilou on the box cutter. But I do. What the f? Why? Is that a thing on? Do you see the little animation there? In the whatever you call this part of the sword, the little like Ogia animation. Why does that exist? Is that a thing on Nilou? No. Weird. So like the little like Ogia animation doesn't happen right there. And then it does when it's on Farina. Does that just happen with any Fontaine characters for some reason? Because this is a Fontaine weapon, so they like do a little special animation. That's so weird. Why would they do that? That's really funny. Sorry, getting distracted. Where is another sword character from Fontaine? I think I only have Lynette. Be the other Fontaine character. Can I filter by like whatever? Lynette for sure is one. Yeah, it does. What the heck? That's so weird. Okay. All Fontaine weapons show Ogia and Numa on the users. Okay. Interesting. Didn't know that. If only all the Fontaine weapons weren't trash, mostly. I mean, the craftables are honestly some of the best ones. But anyways, my to-do list. This is stuff I still, like, and this is not the stuff I deleted. So yeah, I got to level, like, Fab Lances, Fab Swords to 90 because I'm using characters that needed Fabs more. And just Strong Box for Emblem. That's related to Hybrid Raiden. Level Maiden's pieces. Oh yeah, because like so like this team for example, Bennett is on Instructors, which is it's a good damage upgrade for the team, but like because of the way Bennett's healing works, right? Trying to make him overheal as much as possible, to a point that he can potentially fulfill Farina's passive. Like Maiden's artifacts are now relevant, not just on Bennett. I think Bennett is the most obvious place for putting in Maiden's artifacts. So like, oh crap, now I gotta level freaking Maiden's artifacts. Okay, like that's fine. And then like more Instructors pieces that I've been leveling too. And then I need to farm more Marcia Hunters and Golden Troop, of course, because I would like to improve her build. But like more than that is like, oh, she enables Marcia Hunters, 4-piece Marcia Hunters on other characters, right? So like, okay, now I need 5 billion of these artifacts because suddenly if Farina exists on the team, this is the best artifact set for most characters that are on field. almost guaranteed. It not necessarily that there's always like it's objectively better, because like an interesting example is like I'm using 4-piece MH on Noelle with Farina, and this is a really good build, and that I wouldn't be able to reach like a crit ratio on very easily without Marcia Hunters. And like 4-piece Husk though she's supposed to be on Serpent Spine. I don't know why. Don't ask why Diluc had that. Oh, I know why I had that. That's the video that'll be eventually. It's not a Diluc video. It's for whatever. So 4-piece MH, right, gives like good crit ratios. And crit is like the rarest stat in the game, and that's really nice. This set with Farina's existence in particular makes it a lot easier to build characters potentially. Because the knowing thing with artifact farming is that like crit is the rarest stats, right? And it's oftentimes the stats you need the most for like heavily invested builds. So if the artifact set gives you a bunch of free crit, that makes it easier to build characters. Because it's giving you a bunch of the rarest stat in the game, right? But it's not necessarily objectively better than like 4-piece Husk on Noelle, particularly because like I have an issue with Noelle. Like I have her level 11 talents. Oftentimes she just does not the healing, even though on paper, like if you get all the heals off from Noelle's healing, she can keep up with Farina's drain on her own. I, generally speaking, find that it doesn't because of some combination of, not getting enough normal attacks in to not get healing procs, or the shield breaking, which means my healing ends, or, just the fact that health drain is happening when I am like during burst animations for characters, and when I'm in burst animations, I'm not doing normal attacks to heal, right? So having higher defense on 4-piece Husk would mean more healing, which means, less issues with like keeping up damage bonus for Farina. So it's not necessarily objectively better, but it is still like easier to build, and it's a lot more resin efficient to farm this domain, which has relevant artifacts for other characters. But yeah, the fact that Farina enables this set to be used on any character is utterly ridiculous. I am honestly surprised they decided to have that be a thing. Yeah, anyways. So, oh yeah, and then my other notes is just like regarding like I need to test all the teams. So, yeah. Both of my mods are bullies. What are they bullying you about? I'll ban my mods of DB. Stop being bullies, mods. Yes, the Fontaine energy thing on Fontaine weapons is a cool detail. I wish I had some other Fontaine weapons to actually see what the animation was. Like I could... What do I have? Okay. I'm getting super distracted. What do I have for billets? Should I throw away a billet to go craft a Fontaine weapon? I could go craft like a Fontaine bow. Oh wait, no, you need these billets for Fontaine weapons. Craftables. Okay. Ugh. You did enjoy 4.2. Why did you enjoy 4.2? Deluxe deserve it. It's Jover, no Deluxe video. I'm not gonna say there's never gonna be a Deluxe video. I'll probably make a Deluxe video eventually, but particularly of Cloud Retainer. Oh yeah, you know what? That's actually something I want to talk about. I wasn't planning on it. Cloud Retainer leaks should happen soon. TM, like beta leaks. So probably either tomorrow is Sunday. Tomorrow, Monday or Tuesday, most likely, right? And if you want, go to my Discord if you want to see my initial thoughts on Cloud Retainer kit leaks. Keep in mind that whenever I post my initial thoughts on my Discord server for Cloud Retainer leaks, or for character leaks, my initial thoughts are initial thoughts. I might have a wrong read. I'm like, with Navia, for days, I missed the fact that Navia had 2 initial skill uses. And like, that's a big detail to miss. That's a misread. So like, I'm not perfect, especially when it comes to when I'm giving my initial reactions to a character's kit. But with that said, I want to mention a couple things about Cloud Retainer based on things we've currently seen. I think Cloud Retainer seems super cool. I know, assuming if she's a Animo Catalyst healer, and assuming she's good at swirling, right? At a baseline, because Farina made healers a lot more relevant, being an Animo Catalyst healer, she can hold Prototype Amber, being an Animo Catalyst healer is potentially very relevant. She needs to be able to swirl well, and I would hope she has some form of grouping, personally. If she does not have grouping, that's going to kind of piss me off just a little bit, to be completely honest, because, like, they're really stingy with their groupers, and that's real dumb, because they keep on doing setups in Abyss that really make you want a grouper. Like the first chamber of floor 11 in this Abyss, good lord. That is an annoying chamber if you don't have a massive amount of CC or just enough damage to clear it like very, very fast, such that the enemies can't do any damage to the monolith, right? Or you use groupers like Sucrose and Cosmo, and Sucrose has her own grouping problems. So I sincerely hope her grouping exists and is not just something really bad like a taunt. Like I was really, like, when Lynette was first in beta, right? And we never even got footage in, I forgot I had C1 Lynette now. This Lynette C1 that says, you know, when her skill hits an opponent, it will create a vortex that pulls opponents in. This is barely, it's barely anything. Like this C1 may as well not exist. It's so little. And like, I was so annoyed when we learned that, because like, Lynette is a free Animo character, and it's like, okay, I can see not giving the free Animo character grouping, and then you make the grouping C1. It's like, it's a C1, it's fine, right? Except for it basically doesn't do anything. It's functionally useless. Like, why? Would it have killed you, like Hoyo? Like, to give a free character that potentially could become a relevant grouper for the Abyss, and when they want to put so many situations that make most players, not that it's impossible to deal with those situations without a grouper, but like, it makes most players want to use a grouper. So I don't know, like, what weapon do I create? That's not the right one. I kind of want to make R5 Crescent Peg, I'll be honest. On on my main account. I'm not gonna do it right now. I'm gonna save my polearm billets. But I misunderstood, by the way, some of R5 Crescent Bike for today's physical Zhongli video. It wouldn't have really changed the results that meaningfully, to be clear. But that was my bad. I didn't research the thing enough. The overall statements are still correct, so it's fine. But anyways, I don't really want to spend sword billets because I'd rather spend sword billets on this sword eventually. More refinements. This sword is like, it's annoying because like picking up the leaf is annoying, but on paper, this sword at R5 can give 120 elemental mastery. And like one thing that you'll see when I release my Hybrid Raiden video is the power of abusing elemental mastery buffs that are external. 120 EM external buff is a lot. And this would be Bennett's best weapon, even with my Freedom Sworn on Bennett with Hybrid Raiden. I'm pretty sure the 120 EM from that weapon is better. I just don't have the billets for it right now. Well, okay, I could theoretically convert over my other sword billets, I think, right? Because I have... No, I don't have any sword bill. Oh yeah, oops, never mind. I used to. I put them all into Aminoma. But anyways, I'll probably be able to make R5 this eventually. I already have R1. I need 2 more of these. So I'm not going to spend it on this, is my point. Catalyst. So when using elemental skill, damage bonus increases, and you get damage bonus. This on paper could be really good. Do I have a catalyst? I do have a catalyst character. I have Nubilet. Okay, I think I'll craft this one then. What about the Claymore? Wheeler's Healed gives a bunch of attack. This could be good too. That's pretty not bad. I'm baffled that there's no magnetic theme electro grouper. Yeah, I know, right? It's ridiculous, by the way, that Chevreuse is a better grouper than Lynette. Like, what the actual F? Chevreuse is a better grouper than Lynette. The Overload character, which I'm glad, to be clear. That's nice. All right, yeah, I'm gonna craft this. I think it'll be fine. I want to see what the effect looks like on another weapon. If this doesn't actually have an effect, I'll slightly regret this, to be clear, but it's fine. At worst, I wasted 1 billet, which is like potentially significant, to be clear. Billets are so godforsakenly rare that like that actually could be a meaningful mistake, but it's fine. All right, what does this look like on Nubilet? Not that it's a Nubilet weapon. It has a little glow there. Yep. Okay. Cool. There's a little glow. It's a really minor detail, but like genuinely, a really nice touch. It's a really nice touch. Doesn't glow. Does glow. Doesn't matter? No. But it's a nice touch. I appreciate it. Anyways. How is Chevreuse a better grouper? Her bursts. So her bursts, like, basically, if we have pretend like Lawrence is an enemy here, right? When you use her burst, it creates a bunch of bombs, kind of like Hiraro does, but the bombs automatically explode, and they push inwards, towards the center. So you can actually see in the footage when they showed Chevreuse, or you can see in my video where I talked about Chevreuse, I included the footage. She does group enemies, and like you can even see her stagger, and like she staggers enemies that are even heavier weight enemies. She doesn't group them as well because they're heavier weight enemies, right? But they still get like pushed towards the center a little bit, and that's potentially relevant. I'm gonna take a drink of water. Her C1 doesn't even group bombs. Lynette's, yeah, I know. I'm so annoyed that Lynette's C1 basically doesn't exist. Why, Mahoyo? But anyways, the point is like Cloud Retainer needs to have grouping, because grouping is relatively important, or not necessarily important, but it's a very, very nice to have on a supportive unit. So if they make, and like one of the big problems with Jean, Jean, I really like the fact that Jean is now actually relevant with Freenet is really good, but Jean is like an anti-grouper as far as ammo goes, which is fine. In some ways, you could actually use that to group if you use it well. You just have to like be smarter about it. But part of the reason I don't love Sunfire is because it pushes enemies outside of the circle, right? And that's just annoying. And that's part of the reason why, like, C4, I think, yeah, it's C4 gene that, like, hey, when you're within the field created by Dandelion Breeze, all opponents have their ammo res decreased by 40%. Whoa, that seems really strong. Except for it pushes enemies out of it. So, like, enjoy circle impact, but now the circle says, no, you can't come in the circle to the enemies. So, like, and Sunfire is the same problem. Which Sunfire is the Bennett gene combo where you're having self pyro while you're within the circles, causing self swirls, which can apply pyro, and yeah, I don't know. It's good against bosses, to be clear, but like that's not all situations. So, what is the flowing purity glow when on Nubilet? I crafted that to test out because I noticed on Farina. Fontaine weapons apparently have a little effect on them. Well, that's not a Fontaine weapon. Where this one? Fontaine weapons have a little effect on them, so you can see the Ogia glow on Farina there. Actually, does the color change when you change Farina's mode? I assume it does. It should be glowing white now. Yeah, see? It's it's a nice... So it looks like any Fontaine weapon on Fontaine characters have some kind of indicate, like, glowing thing for Ogia or Numa, which is cool. It's a cute touch. So, yeah. As far as Cloud Retainer goes, the main... it doesn't matter. The main thing is just, like, you need you need your Animos to be able to swirl well. If you want an Animo supportive unit to be relevant, they need to swirl well, so you can keep up VV, right? So that ideally means a less than 10-second cooldown on a skill. And other than that, let's just do something like that. Other than that, you have whatever buffing utility they have. So Kazuha has like an absurd amount of elemental damage buffing, right? On top of Kazuha's own inherent scaling that gives him additional damage. Like Kazuha does an insane amount of damage himself. And his grouping ability, right? Sucrose has, is a good swirler, and then buffs elemental mastery, a percentage of the team's the whole team's elemental mastery when she does a swirl, and that's really strong. So the question is, of course, what does Cloud Retainer do other than that? Other than just like swirling, grouping, and whatever. Well, she heals, right? And the healing is relevant, particularly with Farina's existing now, to a degree that I don't think, Cloud Retainer is going to buff to an extent that Kazuha or Sucrose buff, right? I don't think they're going to do that. But I do think that they probably will make the plunge buffing a thing. But I think they're going to make it a thing in the, enables, when your normal jump height is this, right? You can't plunge normally. So I think the plunge buffing is going to be a thing. It's going to be a relatively minor buff, as far as her whole kit is concerned, is my guess. But it will enable you to have, that gear boss, right? That enables you to jump 2 or 3 times as high. It'll be like that, but on a character's kit, so that you can jump up in the air and plunge with the eye. And I love the idea of that because, to be clear, like, plunge enablers technically exist, right? Like, technically Venti exists, so you can plunge on other characters, and technically, who's the other character? I have a stroke. Albedo. Albedo, has the same concept of like, oh, you can use the elevator to plunge on your characters, but they're both like clunky in practice, versus like the gravity adjustment thing where you just jump higher feels good, right? That's a very big difference, feeling good or not, versus being clunky by having to jump up, glide up, lunge, right? Like Venti is the closest, but it still is clunky. And then, not to mention Venti's like hold E time is, I think, pretty long. And then Albedo is just terrible. It'll just be jump, plunge, jump, plunge, jump, plunge. And notably, plunges, by the way, are similar to charge attacks, wherein, generally speaking, I believe charge attack or plunges don't apply or don't have any ICD. They're generally independent ICD, and for those that aren't aware, that means they always apply the element, which means you always can get a reaction out of those hits. So in the case of like the Yai, it's like Yai is not someone like I'm saying you should do this, but the fact that this might be a thing you can do, I think is super fun with Cloud Retainer, assuming she buffs your jumping height, right? Yeah, this is her gimmick. I think it makes a lot of sense. It's kind of what I'm trying to get into. But basically, if you can consistently jump plunge on Yai, right? That means I could do Cloud Retainer instead of Kazuha, for example, and then switch Baizhu probably like Nahida or something in this team, and jump plunge, jump plunge, jump plunge. Every time I'm doing a plunge is an aggravate, right? And yeah, they might start adding ICDM plunges, but they're generally usually pretty good with consistency. I'd have to double check even. I'm the main characters that I looked at when I was going and investigating this. I'm gonna switch to Kazuha. From what I could see, everyone has no. There's no goopiness. It's just like charge attacks for the most part. Can you not? Wherein you always apply the element on the plunge. So, like, genuinely, I do think there might be reason to use... Can you, like, stop? There might be reason to use Yai plunges with Cloud Retainer to get more aggravates in, right? And for what it's worth, I'll go out of here and show you. Like, every character has plunge multipliers. They're just not relevant to most characters. And making Cloud Retainer being a supportive unit, right, in a relevant... you know, element type. And oh, they're just dead. Okay. And, you know, doing something like enabling weird plunge shenanigans, like, I don't know, that's super fun on an idea level to me. Even if it's not necessarily the optimal thing to do, it'll change the way a lot of characters and teams might feel to play. I'm not doing anything to you, because, yeah, there you go. How's Navia looking according to you? I'll talk about Navia in a second after I get out of here. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to Cloud Retainer. We'll see what she actually ends up being like. We haven't gotten any like specific confirmation that she's actually a plunge enabler like I'm suggesting, like the boss. But the moment I saw that boss though, the gravity modifying boss, I was like, this has to be something they're doing as like in part because it's for a character's kit. Like, it would surprise me they went to the effort of trying to make that boss just for the one boss's gimmick, right? Let's go to the boss. Where the heck is it? Over here. Yeah, like every character is a plunge multiplier, right? And if you can always apply an element when those plunges, assuming they're dealing elemental damage, right? Like, that's the notable thing. Like, obviously, someone like Yai is a good example, in my opinion, because Yai is a catalyst character. She's always applying the element. So there's two multipliers for plunges. You see a plunge 112%, and then low-high plunge. So the low-high plunge is the plunge damage that happens when you hit the ground. So, and whether it's low or high just depends on height. I'm not actually sure which one the game, like what the height is. Like, I don't know if this height is high enough for a high plunge or if it's high enough for a low plunge. And I don't know, you know, if Cloud Retainer does enable higher jumping. I don't know if Cloud Retainer is going to enable higher jumping to enable just low plunges or to enable high plunges. Ideally high plunges, because they're higher multiplier. But all characters have these high-low plunge multipliers, right? And generally speaking, they're relatively high multipliers. And that second, by the way, the other multiplier, so there's the plunge damage, and then there's the low-high plunge. The low-high plunge is the damage instance that happens on the ground, right? So when I actually hit the ground, that's the low-high plunge damage, which one is just dependent on height. The other plunge happens if you hit, so the plunge damage, the 63% on Farina here, that happens if you hit the enemy while you're falling. So that's why like some Xiao players, if you're trying to like maximize your damage, or a Dragon Strike Diluc, you try to hit the enemy while you're falling. It's part of what makes Dragon Strike Diluc strong. So anyways, I think there's potential high potential relevance to it. All in all, is basically all I can say. We're actually going to test something interesting here with this boss. I want to see if... I don't know what the AoE on Yai's plunges, so her plunge multiplier, and this is with, you know, level 10, 112%, and then low high is 225, 281. We're going to see what the AoE is on this. Like, for example, let's see if Plunge Yai triggers the blooms, right? And I suspect Cloud Retainer probably won't make you jump as high as this boss makes you jump, but I'm not sure. Oh wait, I should not. Okay. I want to wait until... Oh, it didn't even do the field. I don't want to put Yai's skill down. Okay, there we go. Oh, whoops. So yeah, I'm pretty sure the AoE is decently big. I'd have to do more testing to see what the AoE actually is, or check Homcat data. But like, you got it there. You saw that like I was applying an element, so I triggered Hyper Blooms, and obviously triggering Hyper Blooms doesn't require applying an element every time, because that is not based on the enemy. But the I saw Electro Charge being triggered every time, so I'm pretty sure, yeah, like that's just the point of my demonstration, right? And the fact that that's like just a thing you will be able to do, it substantially changes how you might be like playing with characters you enjoy. Like, I don't know, I really like playing Yai, so something that's a new toy to play with Yai in a new way is super fun to me, even if it's not, you know, objectively better. I do think for Cloud Retainer to truly be relevant, she really needs to have like the traditional things that makes Animo good. Especially for being a 5-star. So if she has, you know, terrible grouping or anti-grouping, that's going to be a bit of an L. But I don't know, if she does the jumping gimmick thing, I'll probably get her regardless for weird shenanigans like that. Like, it's too fun on paper not to be able to do that, assuming it works like that. Can we see the height of high plunge damage on Xiao? Yeah, let's check. So Xiao, I think, modifies his multipliers in... Yeah, so remember, his burst gives him plunging damage bonus. So his functional multipliers are higher than this, but he has very high multipliers. So you see the plunge multiplier, so that's if you hit an enemy in midair, and then the high plunge is 349%. But then Xiao gives himself damage plunging bonus, right? Plunging damage bonus. You should be able to get a rough estimate of Yai's plunge radius with how much grass burns with Yanfei plunges. True. Let's do that for funsies. This probably should be high up enough. So as far as Navia goes, back to I think what Alawat. I have no idea if I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Alawat said. As far as Navia goes, I made a whole stream on Navia. If you want to check that out, I think the likes of Zajef are underestimating. Okay, I want like a relatively flat area to jump onto, which. In case you guys didn't know, mountains aren't flat. Let's go somewhere else, see if we can find like a building or something. As far as Navia goes, like you mentioned, you didn't have Geo, only usable as Zhongli. She's going to be a good DPS. I think she's going to be comparable to other Geo DPSs, but the notable thing is I consider her to be much more versatile. Like being made to work in non-mono Geo teams, I think is the biggest selling point of Navia. That makes the number of potential teams you could slot her into much higher. And Zajef's, if you watch like Zajef's pre-release analysis, on a math level, he's not wrong with his main point that Navia, why would you use Navia versus X other character in this team? I think he's ignoring the fact that like you're probably using Navia because you want to, right? So I don't personally agree with his sentiment like, oh, you only use Navia in this team or this team. Like, he barely goes in depth. He basically doesn't mention any meaningful, like, teams at all. But, like, she's 100 times more... Navia's 100 times more versatile than someone like Ito, right? So, Anyways, let's see what the AoE is on the burn. This isn't necessarily the same. Obviously, the AoE on different plunges from different catalysts. Why? Okay, I guess we can't test with the Yanfei. It was a good idea. I appreciate it. Well, does Yanfei not have... I mean, I knew she had plunge damage, but does she not apply pyro? Or why? Okay, did they just make it so Yanfei didn't... What? Okay. Why do her attacks sometimes... Okay. So, the Geo Infusion is with C0 or Cons on Navia. Yes, it's at C0. You get a 4-second infusion on Navia after using her skill, which you use 2 skills per rotation, so that's up to like 8 seconds. You won't necessarily want to use that full infusion time. It's like Ninja Jeff's pre-release video, he was talking about, he thinks you would only, in most teams, use the infusion through like, after one of the skills, but you wouldn't use it after the other one. Okay, well, it takes 2 attempts to burn grass. I see. Okay. Does someone want to join me in co-op? I'll open up co-op. I'm on NA on this account. It's already on join after approval. Someone can try to request joining me in co-op. Bring a Yanfei so we can test the AoE of Yanfei. I'm assuming this will work. If we have a second Yanfei. The idea would be we have to land on the same spot, so I'll put something on the ground that's a target for us to land on, I suppose. Grass burning ICD, I can't. I know, right? So I'm assuming, well, the thing is, I don't know if it's like, I don't even know if a second Yanfei will work, because it might have to be 2 hits from a specific character that's doing the burning on the grass. I don't know if it's something the grass itself checks for. So anyways, I'll put like someone can try to join if you have an NA account. I'll put, sure, let's open these. Ooh, thank you, game. That's the kind of instructor's pieces you keep, by the way, is 3 lines with ER in particular, especially those ones. Not that the other ones can't be useful. What was I doing? Oh yes, let's put down the parametric. You mean you can't deploy here? What's wrong with... Why? Also, I just realized grass sets on fire in these weird tiles. Okay, this is probably not the best test now that I think about it, because grass sets on fire in these weird tiles anyways, right? So I think it wouldn't, like, you can see it always like a general square-ish shape. So I don't know if it's actually the best measure of AoE. Anyways, as far as Navia goes, I think the biggest thing some people are underestimating, particularly Zajef, I think is underestimating the value of the fact that she can be used in a non-optimal way and still feel good, right? I don't know that for sure. I'd have to mess with her myself to be honest. Sorry, I got hiccups or something. But you back.
You need delivered?
I just think, like, ultimately if people are using Navia, if you want to use Navia, you might want to use her in teams that aren't just, around buffing Navia to heck and high beyond, instead around other teams, because whether it be because, I don't know, you like Yai and you like Navia, so you want to use Yai and Navia together, right? It can be as simple as that. And acknowledging the fact that Navia does not require like Ito. You basically, to get Ito to really function, you need to invest in mono Geo, right? And that means, like, if you want to play Ito different ways, there's not much you can do. Whereas Navia, you can. And that's a big difference in my opinion. So grass in different regions have different EM. So, thoughts on the fact that 4-piece Petra buffs 1 element at a time? I think 4-piece Petra is pretty crap. 4-piece Petra is... One of the reasons is because of it only buffs 1 element at the time, because it has to be of the shard that... Because crystallized shards are specific elements, right? But then, of course, even if you get multiple, you can't do any more, which is annoying. That limits its potential. But more annoyingly is, like, the character that's holding this artifact set has to be the one that picks up the crystallized shard. Like it says upon obtaining a shard, right? It doesn't say upon generating a shard. I really don't understand why they made this upon picking up instead of upon generating. Like if that said upon generating a shard, that would be an actually interesting set in my opinion. It's interesting on paper. Like I know some people do that for like Nuvilette to get more damage bonus for Nuvilette. It's not a bad thing to do. But I think it's the utility of it is relatively niche, to say the least. I don't know if Kirara has the right artifacts. Nope, she definitely does not. She's not supposed to have 2P Shimenawas. Whatever, it'll be fine. I didn't crit. Didn't mean to do that. Oh, good. Most valuable Yai burst I've ever done. Can I use my ult? Zajef is a meta perspective. Yeah, no, that's why I was saying, like, his math isn't wrong. But I don't think... Like, you can go from the meta perspective, right? I go from the meta perspective as a default, too. But, like, I think it's a bit silly to ignore the context of why a person is asking how they can use Navia in the first place. Probably because they like her and want to use her. And saying that, you know, oh, if you're trying to do Yai aggravate, slotting in, you know, if you're trying, let's just say, like, I slot Navia in here instead of Kirara. Yeah, you can say it's objectively worse than Kirara. I mean, okay, Kirara's a bad example. It'd obviously be better than Nahida. It'd be better to have, like, Nahida in this team or something, right? Or Fischl. Actually, Fischl's a better example, right? Let's say I had Fischl here instead of Kirara. And then, you know, you want to use Navia, but you really like this team and you really like Yai. Well, you can throw Navia into this team, right? And instead of Nahida. And, like, yeah, Nahida is better. Or Xiangling in whatever team is better. Or whatever else, right? But if you want to use Navia, Navia is better for you. Like, and it's not like her kit doesn't work, right? Her kit says have Electro, Hydro, Pyro, or Cryo party members with Navia. That's what her kit says. And as long as you have them, she should function decently well. Because, well, okay, not always. Like, it depends on how much field time the other characters want. This team is an example of one where it should function fine to have Navia in because Yai can be off-field, Furina's off-field, obviously. You don't have to spend as much field time on other characters, therefore Navia can spend a little bit more field time, right? So you do have that baseline requirement, but you get the point. I think people are underestimating the fact that she is a versatile Geo DPS that could be slotted into a flex slot in mini teams, even if it's not optimal. It's a way that you can get value out of the character. And I also think her quick swap playstyle is ability to be quick swap or more on field is really good. I think she's a really well designed Geo unit. I don't agree with the fact that she's attack scaling. I think that's an absolute dick move on their part. Making her attack scaling just makes her a way more boring character. And on top of that, I think they 100% only made her attack scaling specifically because they didn't want players to use 4-piece husk. Like, they wanted to make you think you had to farm for her signature artifacts. Oh, I also really disagree with Zajef saying, like, Zajef didn't even go into the math of Navia with Marcia Hunters with Furina. Yeah, it's something you can do. It's mostly a problem of, like, what healer do you use, as always, with Furina. So, yeah, but if you're using Furina with Navia, then yes, Marcia Hunters with Navia is definitely an option. The reason I don't like the fact that Zajef basically said 2-piece combos on Navia are something you do while you're farming for her new artifacts. Her artifact, the artifact set releasing, that's basically just for her or Ningguang. I disagree because I did like, so I did when I did the math for comparison, I did like best case scenario of of her artifacts, assuming that her artifacts buff was up 100% of the time for all of her damage, and it isn't. I just did that because it was easier to calc for me. And because I was trying to calculate worst case scenarios anyways. But it isn't 100% uptime for all of Navia's damage, so it's actually not as different as even I'm going to mention it. But in the worst case, and this was before I think Navia's skill got buffed, so I think 2-piece, particularly 2-piece skill damage, got even better. And 2-piece skill damage with 2-piece Golden Troop gets even better if you're doing like Sacrificial Greatsword with Navia. So, because you're using potentially another skill, which makes more of a percent of your damage skill base, which means 2-piece skill damage bonus, or even 4-piece potentially. Although the 4-piece on Golden Troop might be hard to use. But point is like, Zajeff didn't even go into the numbers of artifacts at all, and I don't even know if he counted them. Like, I don't know if he just assumed that it would be better for some reason. I'm assuming he did calc them to some degree, but he probably was operating this perspective of basically her signature artifact set is probably around 10. It depends on, like, ultimately it's going to depend what you have in your account, right? And this is the big thing of what I think he ignored, but I'll get into it. But stat for stat, if you had equivalent artifacts, like equivalent substats on Navia's 4-piece new artifact set that's coming out in 4.3 versus 2-piece attack, 2-piece skill damage. I also did calcs for 2-piece attack, 2-piece attack, whatever relevant 2-piece combos, 2-piece geo, 2-piece skill damage, right? Whatever 2-piece combos you have available, right? Compared to 4-piece of her artifacts, if they were the same stat for stat, then her artifacts should be about 10% better. And 10% in Genshin terms is a lot. Like, if you're thinking about, you know, oh, should I farm for Navia's signature artifacts or try to pull for her signature weapon? I would pull for her signature, or I would not pull for her weapon. I would farm for her artifacts over trying to get her weapon, because at least, you know, the artifacts are a damage upgrade you can get for her that doesn't cost 200 pulls. What was I going to look at, by the way? I was going to look at something here. Oh, I know what I was going to do. I was going to level up Sara's artifacts. And that's meaningful. Like 10% is not insignificant, and so my assumption is he's operating on like the Genshin meta perspective of 10% damage increase on a Genshin meta level is a lot of damage. And like, if you really like, screw you game, if you really like Navia, I think it probably is worth farming her for her artifacts eventually. But that statement, in my, like, saying that, you know, you should do that, and he basically specifically said, is it something you should do? Oh, you should, or he specifically said you should only use 2-piece combos while farming for the new set. I think that's objectively wrong to make that concrete of a statement about it, because of a few reasons. One, is 10% better while being a lot ignores the fact that many players are going to have better 2-piece combos, particularly when it comes to 2-piece attack, where you have 2-piece attack on this Shimenawas, which people have spent a lot of resin on, and 2-piece attack on like gladiators, right? And there's other 2-piece attack sets. There's like, there'll be 4 in the game actually, with Navia's artifacts. And then 2-piece Golden Troop, which is a domain that many players have been spending a lot of time in since 4.0 as well. And because of that, those are like really common artifacts that people have, right? A lot of people have maybe a lot of artifacts. And as far as like resin efficiency goes, it makes much more sense to like keep on farming Marchese Hunters and Golden Troop, and use like 2-piece Golden Troop, 2-piece attack, or 2-piece Geo if you haven't already have 2-piece Geo. And chances are, because you've already spent a bunch of resin in there, you are going to have better stats on your 2-piece combos to a degree that it would take you a lot of resin to get equivalent substats, or to get to the point where you have substats that are close enough to your 2-piece combos to make her signature artifacts better, right? Like, you could have worse substats in Navia's signature artifacts than 2-piece combos and get more damage because the 4-piece bonus is better than 2-piece. But it's not going to necessarily be a degree where it's worth the resonant inefficiency, especially with the other artifacts set in the domain being like not technically useless, but not very useful to farm a ton of. Like, you're going to get way more of the healing set than you need in the time that it takes you to get a good like set for Navia. Like, So to compare like my artifacts that I have if I was going to equip a Navia, I have this really good, or I have a couple actually really good feathers here, right? So like I could put this one, or I could put this one, would obviously be better. This is a 40 CV plus an attack percent roll. And then I have, you know, like, the official's going to keep my pieces on my account, but I have this piece, and I think I actually have a second attack percent piece. Yeah, I do. I have this piece on Amber, right? So I'd probably put this on Navia, actually. This would be slightly better for her. So that's another 30 CV piece, right? Okay, so there's 2-piece combo. I have a feather and a timepiece done for Navia. Okay, what about 2-piece attack? Okay, I can use this crit damage piece. If she doesn't need a little bit of ER, so this might be ideal if I need the ER. Although I probably would want a crit rate circlet because I'd probably use Sacrificial Greatsword. So what about like a crit rate circlet on Gladiators? Well, there we go. 15% crit rate, so 3 attack rolls, 3 crit damage rolls. That's a very high stat value circlet. And then now we just put like the best Gladiators flower or the best Gladiators goblet I have, right? Obviously we want geo damage bonus. I don't think I have a geo damage bonus Gladiators goblet, but maybe I do. Oh, I do. Wow, okay. So like actually in my case, because this would be an onset goblet, I'd probably level up this. And then that could let me do an off-piece flower, right? Which I think the best off-piece flower I have is this piece. Or no, not this piece. This piece, which is on official right now. This piece is cracked. And like there you go. Now I have like almost a 50 CV flower, a 40 CV feather, a 35 CV with extra ER, timepiece, depending on how it rolls goblet, and then a 6 stat value, 6 lines of stat value circlet. Like, depending on ER needs, I might just swap around things a little bit, you know, obviously. But like, seeing how high stat value I have in 2-piece combos, right, means that like the idea of farming 4-piece of Navia's new artifacts, it would take a long time to get something worthwhile. And the fact that you can't, you know, strongbox for it until like probably 2 years from now, it just is like, it makes the value of farming for it super questionable versus just continuing to farm for, you know, this domain here that gives you more valuable artifacts for other characters at the same time it potentially give you artifacts for Navia, right? Like it just makes way more sense. So I really, really disagree with his statement to say, oh, you use 2-piece combos while you farm for the new set. I think if you are a new player, to be clear, and you just got Navia and you're like AR-45, you have no artifacts already, right? Because like if you have no artifacts, you're starting from a you're starting from a fresh slate. I still wouldn't necessarily recommend it because when you're new, resin efficiency and getting artifacts that are relevant for multiple characters at the same time is, in my opinion, still more important than getting, you know, other artifacts. But if you're starting from a blank slate, then theoretically it can be more worthwhile to go for Navia's artifacts. But like, I don't know. I feel like there's basically very little situation other than like, you're just heck bent on, I need Navia to be as good as possible because I really love Navia, then farm for her artifacts. That's basically my opinion of it. And it's mostly just a problem of like 2-piece combos. This is something that's the same for like most 2-piece combos on most characters, right? It's the situation I'm in with Yai, wherein like I could get, you know, a situationally slightly better build on 4-piece Gilded Dreams, right? Because it can give more attack and more EM than my 2-piece attack, 2-piece EM combo gives, right? But getting to the point of a Gilded Dreams build that can have better substats to justify switching over is really hard. Like, and I have to spend a crap ton of resin in a domain where I don't really care to get more Deepwood artifacts, right? And that's kind of all it comes down to. Like I have this artifact and this feather, and then like I have a 40 CV gilded piece, and then what do I have for timepieces on gilded? This is actually a pretty good. This looks sadder than it is. This is actually quite high stat value for someone like Yai. Attack percent timepiece, and then for circlets, I have I have this circlet, which is pretty decent. It's like not bad, and this one's pretty decent as well. And like, it's not good enough though. I've tried it. It's not good enough. It's not good enough versus my 2-piece combos, and that is like it's the same case for like most 4-piece sets basically. Is the cost of getting a 4-piece set that's more resin inefficient versus 2-piece combos is hard. Like the only time it's tended to be really worth getting 4Ps, in my opinion, in my experience, is with 4Ps Marsh, say Hunters. This 4P set gives you so much value that like is potentially worth it. It's much easier to get to a point of having enough MH artifacts for Nuvilet that make it better for his artifacts over 2-piece combos. But even then, honestly, Nuvilet is still functional in 2-piece combos. But it's the only time I think it would be potentially correct to say something like Jeff said about Navi's artifacts, wherein, oh, you only use 2-piece combos while you're farming for new artifacts, because like this domain is one of the domains you should probably be farming for anyways, right? Especially the more you get invested into an account. So it's like fine to say that. But for Navi's domain, Navi's artifact domain, it's a weird thing to say to me. I find it weird that he said it. Someone send this 2-piece random to Zayac so he stops farming Vermilion. So Vermilion, interestingly, is in a similar situation. Like, Vermilion... again, like, to be clear, Zayac is someone who's, like, super heavily invested in the fucking Xiao. To be clear, because of the fact that, like, MH is better, particularly with a Xiao without Bennett, on Xiao, but I would have stopped farming it. But I'm not Zayac, right? And he might be always playing Xiao with one boring-ass team. He probably does. He probably plays Xiao with one boring freaking team. And this set gives, I think, what is it? Attack percent by 8% with triggers additional 4 times, so 48. This is 66% attack. If I did my math correctly, it's 60-something% attack. That's a lot of attack. And Xiao scales very heavily on attack, so like it actually provides enough stat value that it's like, that's one of those sets that even though Xiao can use Mars to say Hunters without Farina, it's not objectively better, right? That's how much stat value Vermilion gives. But Xiao is honestly in the same situation though, whereas like again, unless you really like him, like Xiao is good enough on 2-piece combos. Like again, like I haven't even used my Xiao in forever. My Xiao's 88.6 crit rate. He probably needs a little bit more ER, but 182 crit damage, 88.6 crit rate. Let me open up Akasha. I think I actually have my Xiao in Akasha. Last I checked, my Xiao was like a top 3 or 4% Xiao. And a top 3 or 4% Xiao is a strong Xiao. Like that's a investment into Xiao where, okay, I'm sorry, top 5%. Good God, sue me. That's like when you get to the top 5%, right? That's 95th percentile. The things that are benefiting your Xiao damage is going to be like outside sources, like crowning your Bennett's Burst, getting Z6 Farazan, getting Zhongli, more than anything, right? Like it, the time it would take to get my Xiao to do equivalent or more damage, than, let's see if I can switch over my thing. Where's my browser window? There we go. Blam. So here's my Xiao, right? And to be clear, I have good 2-piece stuff. Oh, okay. Is he on the wrong? No, he's on the right circlet, actually. So like this is with it's a decent build. The circlet could be better, but it's not bad. It's high enough stat value as long as I'm meeting ER needs, which depends on the team, right? It's very good. And yeah, like top 5% is right here, right? And what does it say I do for damage? I do in this specific team configuration, it'd be 156,000 damage, right? The top 1% Xiaos, how many Xiaos are there total? Top 99%, so there is, yeah, okay, there's a lot of Xiaos. The number's right here. It's 131,000. So top 1% Xiaos is, well, I'm trying to see what the lowest top 1% Xiao is. And obviously it's filled with 4-piece Vermilion, right? So if you really like Xiao, I think it's the same situation as Navia is going to be in. Where like Navia, if you really like Navia, yeah, okay, it can be worth investing in, maybe. If you really like Navia. But 131, wait, I can do this math myself. So 1% of 131,000 is going to be 1,300, right? So that means I can go to page, what is there, 20 per page? 1,300 divided by 20, page 65. How do I, there we go, 65. Okay, I typed that in wrong. Alright, you know, let's see. Just spam the button. Wait, I can't go past page 8? Okay, well, we're going to go to the bottom then. Oh, I broke it. I broke Akasha. There we go. What? Where did I broke something. Okay. Where is Shao? I hope that Google page didn't show anything. I don't think it did. Google likes to dox people though. There's Shao. Okay. So let's go to skip to hyper. Oh, I can just, okay. Wait, no, that's like a damage value, isn't it? I don't want to type in a damage value. Okay, we're just gonna spam. I want to see how much damage. The reason I'm doing this, I want to see how much damage a top 1% Shao gets versus my top 5% Shao. Alright, we're in the 1200s here. So this is like the lower echelon of top 1% Shaos. And interestingly, you can see here's top 1% Shaos that have 2-piece combos. Right? And like the top 1% Shaos that have 2-piece combos, right, have insanely higher crit value. Like this is ridiculous compared to this build, which has much lower crit value, right? That's just the difference. This is the difference illustrated in the 4-piece bonuses, right? But a top 1% Shao, a top 1% Shao is doing, you know, 160 on this compared to mine. It's doing 1.67 million, right? So versus mine is doing 1.5 million, 1.56 million. So 1.565 divided by, actually no, we should do, if I'm trying to see how much percentage better it is, I should use the bigger one first. So 1.669 divided by 1.565 is 6% better, right? It's 6.6% better to have a top 1% Shao versus a top 5%. I would hope that you're not in a situation in Genshin where 6% more damage is the difference between you clearing abyss or not. I'm not saying it's not worth doing if you really like Shao. But even on Shao, where like he's one of the ones where like his signature artifacts are good enough where it can be worth going for, chances are you still are going to end up over time, like the more the time goes on, you're going to end up with 2-piece combos that are better than whatever 4-piece you have. I think overall, my ultimate point in this is like I think overall people tend to overly prioritize the value of 2-piece combos. Or sorry, no, not 4-piece combos, versus 2-piece combos. Because ultimately, right, 4-piece combos are just giving you stats. And if you have 2-piece combos that are giving you more stats, I need to place my characters correctly, otherwise I'm going to F up my brain. And if you have 2-piece combos that are giving you more stats than a 4-piece combo gives, the 2-piece is better. And as time goes on, it's more likely you're going to get, because 2-piece has more flexible options for using different combinations of artifacts to give you higher stat value on your character total. As time goes on, most accounts, it depends on the character, because not all characters want all set bonuses, but and not all artifacts are going to be super common for you to have, depending on what you've chosen to farm for, right? But in general, 2-piece combos are going to have a higher stat value than 4-piece combos, and particularly in the context of like when it comes to new artifacts they're releasing. I don't know. They always like perfectly balance these new artifacts to be like whenever there's doing these, specifically whenever there's doing these artifacts that are like slightly better than other things you could use on Navi, for example. Or it's not even slightly better. It is like meaningfully better technically. But I don't know. It's so hard to get to a degree where like it justifies being worthwhile to farm. And being worthwhile to farm is a question more often than not of just if it has something valuable in a domain other than the one artifact set, right? Like you need to have 2 good artifact sets in a domain for the domain itself to be worth farming. That was a hilarious Zyx video. He legit spent 2 years of Resident Vermilion. Yeah, it's ridiculous. I respect the dedication, I guess. I like playing with. I actually like engaging with the mechanics of Genshin. So I like playing with different characters. And therefore, I'm just pooping on Zyx. I do think Zyx actually enjoys Genshin. Okay, I gotta say, I didn't think about the Electro boys here. It's fine. We can animo damage our way through this. The oh boy. Actually, I should probably just. Okay, they're dead. Yeah, see, it's fine. See, we're spread damaging it and burning it to death. Perfect. Can you die, please? Thank you. What was I saying? I have no idea what I was saying. I didn't mean to do that.
Remember, health comes first.
Oh yeah, so yeah, Zyx, from my impression, little impression I have of him, I think he does actually enjoy the game. If I was going to hyper invest into any character's specific artifacts, it'd probably be Dia. I already kind of did. I already had to spend way too long in that domain, though, in my opinion. Like 3 months straight in the Dia's stupid artifact domain was enough for me. And now MH exists, and I'm pretty sure I could have a better Dia build with Marsh's Hunters. I really don't get why, by the way. Like, I don't know. To be clear, I'm someone who doesn't mind fragility in teams. And maybe I'll use, I can't do hybrid, I don't know. When I get to floor 12, chat, let me know if you want to see hybrid Raiden in floor 12, or if you want to see Dia with Farina.
Your journey ends here.
Dia with Farina works much better than I expected it to, and it's to a degree that, like, I don't really get why people think Farina and Dia don't work together. Because I haven't played with it much, but it was immediately obvious to me that as long as you're a little bit smart with the timing, it was very limited testing I did. As long as you're not stupid with the timing, you can kind of control whether Dia gets more vapes or Farina gets more vapes with Dia and Farina together. As long as you're fine with the fragility of, you know, Bennett being the main healer. But, like, again, like, Bennett on Maidens with Farina, like, it's an absolutely a thing. And I don't know, it's just weird to me that people think Dia and Farina don't work well together. I think they work really well together. I think it's 100 times better, right? Dia, Farina, to have a stroke, Bennett, and Kazuha is way better than the Vape Dia variation with Mona. Way better. And I don't know. It makes Dia feel super fun to, like, play in the Vape playstyle. Dia with Farina and Candace. I don't even know what I would do. Do I swap out Bennett? No. Look, as much as I like Dia and Farina, Dia and Candace together, it's no. So I don't know. Let me know if you guys if you want to see Dia. Actually, you know what? Screw it. Let's do it in floor 11. This is going to be a little bit weird. Dia, Bennett. I can't use Bennett and Hybrid Raiden then, but it's fine. Dia, Bennett, and having a stroke. Farina. What was the rotation here? I haven't played in a little bit. It's probably Farina into Bennett into Kazuha. To Dia. Although you probably open with Dia's skill, right? Yeah, it's fine. Anyways, the Hybrid Raiden will have to deal without Oh, we'll have to deal without Farina. Actually, it's fine, because this will be an example of hybrid Raiden working without Farina. Although, well, you'd really not want Mars to say Hunters on Raiden then, but it's fine. do 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 do. Okay, I hate this chamber with a passion. Okay, you need to stop, bro. Can I get out? Alright, okay, I really should put Dio's thing down so I can stop getting interrupted. Bros, can you stop? Okay, I think we're fine. Yeah, we're fine. Stupid chamber. This chamber is so dumb. That looked easier, but I just cheated with Kazuha. Okay, I want them all to come over to me before I do anything. I gotta do this, I guess. Ow. Okay, well. Like, I don't know, man. Like, hybrid Raiden's great. Is this new floor 12? No, the floor 12 is... we still have the same floor 12 as the previous cycle, because it's still 4.2, so... we won't have a new Abyss cycle until the January 1st, I believe. From the ashes. Okay. Ow. I don't know why I did... well, whatever. Extra Hydra application. Let's go. Okay, and now that one's... okay, no, just floor 11 things, I guess we'll do here. We're not gonna have Bandit's buff up, but funny. No, attack this one, dude. Okay, well, and now we just get to use Farina. Can I heal? Heal. I didn't recast Farina's skill. Whoopsies. It's fine. I didn't even know Dio was on the right weapon. She was. Okay, good. I need to, like, not die with my characters, by the way. Okay, can you, like, kill the one that's low? Frickin' summons? Oh my god, please. I could use Farina's healing, by the way, obviously, but... I am not a coward. We're just gonna be on low health. Can I switch my characters? My god, the latency. I was considering doing Polearm's only streaming, or Abyss this stream, but I am absolutely not with the latency. I am not gonna try to do something that's a lot more... on the line as far as clearing Abyss goes. My freaking internet wants to be like 900 milliseconds to switch a character because Mihoyo decided that the most important mechanic in Genshin is a server check for fucking reasons. Are we gonna test Navia this Abyss? It looks so bad for her. Yeah, you're kind of right. I mean, this is an example of an Abyss that like will actually be emblematic of like Navia can be useful in teams that can deal with more situations, right? Because the Navia's best team for making Navia do the best damage possible will not be great for this Abyss cycle on floor 12, but Navia can be slotted into other teams. So I think this Abyss kind of might prove my point of her being useful in different team combinations as a flex slot. Like you'll still be able to get use out of her, in my opinion. But I want to emphasize this is a hybrid Raiden build. This is Raiden with M8 MH2. Like, she doesn't have the correct build. I didn't respec it. I didn't respec anything properly. It's a floor 11 to be clear. It's just like, it's just funny. Skill damage. What is this chamber? Oh frick! This one. I hate this one. No. It's freaking buttholes. Okay, we gotta start with Dia. She'll absorb some damage, and then probably die. Yes, I could restore my HP. I'm not gonna do that. I'm not a coward. I'm on cooldown. God. Okay, I think I'm gonna choose the HP. I am a coward. Can you? Freaking cooldown impact, man. I love that they don't reset. I really need to the Farina first. Bro, where's the enemy? See? You time it right, you can get your freaking Dia vapes in this team. Ow. Okay, these enemies are so freaking chaotic. I didn't cause one. Oops. I think my Dia doesn't have enough ER. That's fine. I didn't have Farina's skill going. Whoops. Takes an impressive amount of misplay to not have Farina's skill up. Is it me or is Hyperbloom getting more and more boring over time? I thought Hyperbloom was boring right away. Just pure Hyperbloom. Yeah, so this is why I'm doing Hybrid Raiden. This is not pure Hyperbloom. This is Hybrid Raiden. Raiden is on a very not correct build for this. She would be doing much better with an actual proper build. Can you not? Alright, 412. Alright, Dia or Hybrid Raiden? I don't if I do Dia, I can't do Hybrid Raiden. I can't do both because I don't have a good enough build on Emblem for a Hybrid Emblem Raiden right now. I mean, I could actually, but I don't even have a crit damage circlet, let alone an EM timepiece. That's not cringe. So I should actually probably farm the emblem domain. Dia or Hybrid Raiden. Decide, chat. Because I need Farina if I'm doing Hybrid Raiden for now. It's not required for Hybrid Raiden, but for my build for Hybrid Raiden, it's basically required. Okay. I don't know why I looked at that, but okay. I don't know why I'm looking at all this. Nope, okay. Well, you see that feather is going to be the best MH feather you've ever seen. I don't really need that many MH feathers, but that's why it's probably going to be the best feather I've ever seen. Yes, I told you. I actually am going to lock that because, well, okay. The main thing I would like for my Noelle, if I was going to improve my Noelle, replace this attack percent with def percent, and then I'm happy. Or get some more ER on her. I would prefer like this crit value piece on my Noelle, but with more ER maybe actually. But it's fine. Hybrid Raiden. And Nuvi plus Dia? Sure, I can do Nuvi plus Dia. Question is, do I do Hybrid Raiden? So Hybrid Raiden is more whatever team I use in the second side will work. I think it's going to be more satisfying, but harder to play Hybrid Redden on the first side. So I'm going to do Hybrid Redden, I think, on the first side. Obviously having only... Yeah, having having only Farina for the Hydra application is not exactly ideal for the lectors, but I think it'll be fine. And sure, I can do Nuvi Dia on the second side. Nuvi... What is the Nuvi Dia team? Oh, I can't use... I need Nahida for Hybrid Redden. Nahida is not technically required for Hybrid Redden, but it's very preferred. Shoot. I don't know if I have Dendro Traveler equipped with anything. Well, we're gonna try Baju. And then we're gonna try a fish. And then we're gonna try... No, we should try Kuki. Yeah, we'll just do Kuki. And then we'll do Dia. Okay. We'll see how it goes. Baiju's not very much Dendro application. Especially off field. I have no idea how well that's going to work. This might be... okay. Actually... okay. You know, I should really use Dendro Traveler. Let's just check Dendro Traveler. I do have deep wood. I have 5... Oh, I thought I had 5 pieces, not 5 piece. Okay, I have a build on them. Okay. 30% crit rate, huh? Oh, that's not leveled. That explains it. Okay. Oh, I just don't have any crit rate circlet leveled on Dendro Traveler. Okay. Well, 30% crit rate's gonna be enough. That's what it is. Okay, they're functional. It's fine. I've never actually tested Nuvilet Hybrid Bloom with Dendro Traveler, so this might be a little interesting. This is not the strongest Nuvilet team variation I can make, but I think it'll be fine. And okay. Still don't have a Deepwood crit rate circlet? Yeah, it might be worth getting one. Crit and crit. HP might be better in some ways, but I'll take crit and crit. Ow. Oh, you already did. Okay. Oh. Obviously, ideally, that dude would have died further or earlier than that. Oh boy. Oh boy. Let's do that. And we're gonna do this early because I need to get through the buttholes. Where's the... There it is. Can I... Okay. Really need to hit this. Okay, there we go. Let's heal up a little bit with Prototype Amber so we, like, you know, don't die. Okay, we're gonna have no energy in the next chamber. It's probably fine. What was the time on that? I don't even know. Minute and a half? That's not like the fastest I could clear, to be clear, in that team, but oh crap, man. I don't know why I forgot to do that. Okay, well. What am I doing? Oh boy, I'm just cludging this up to heck and high beyond. I blame Dendro Traveler and my own brain. Where'd you go? There you are. Is this... Alright, how is this not enough ER? Hate everything. I meant to do cookie, whatever. I'm gonna not clear this because I clutched this so hard. How did I do this so badly? Oh my god. I still might get it. I got it, barely. Okay, wow, that was so bad. Oh, that was so terrible in the second half. It's fine. Wait, what was the... I didn't even see what the cards actually were. I just chose the one. It's fine. Did I use Farina Burst? I don't think I did. Well, we're not going to. Okay. One of the nice things about this team with Bennett, by the way, if I had not been dumb, other than just Raiden getting, you know, decent damage on her like skill in general, is that you can use C6 Bennett with an infusion to like do normal attacks to get some pyro application, which also means burgeons, and potential vapes, right? At the same time of doing, you know, whenever you don't have like Raiden's Burst, right? So you don't need Raiden's Burst, particularly in this team variation. Ooh, let's not. Nice 135k. But like, I just got a 38k like hit on a on a aggravate on a normal or charge attack there, and that was with with, you know, getting all the Farina and additional Hyper Boom damage. Like, Raiden has an EM Goblet and an EM Timepiece. Ah, crap. What did I do? You know, I just can't play this video game anymore. Really? Did you have to do the most cringe move? Bro. Okay. Whatever. Whatever. Why do I even bother? Okay. You are not allowed to do your stupid move again. Oh, I don't have... I probably shouldn't have done that. Okay, I hit it with Electro again, it's fine. I think Nuvilet's on the wrong weapon, by the way. I think Baiju took his prototype Amber or something. Or no, Nahida took his prototype Amber. I have no idea what weapon Nuvilet's on. Just whatever, it's Nuvilet things. You just made Nuvi look balanced. I did indeed. Okay. Jump. Jump, please. Okay. I should have waited to do that. That was dumb. Oh my god, no, Jesus Christ, that was so bad. They're like all separated. I think I had one of them with a burst hit. Jesus. Forget, what is the bonus? I didn't even see. How do you think Genshin has changed? How do you think Genshin has changed since the GameStop article back in the release of Sumeru? The GameStop article? What the frick was the GameStop article? You mean that one where they said they're not gonna like do endgame? I mean, not meaningfully until they actually do investment into endgame. Like, actually, the amount of like endgame combat additions they're adding to Star Rail pisses me off relative to Genshin. Normal charge attack bonus does like, yeah, I guess it benefits newbie. It's fine. Okay. Okay, do that, do that, do that. I didn't realize I didn't even know how to do that. Okay, good. There we go. Okay. Raiden's a little bit low health. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Ew. Wait till he drops the thing. Oh, didn't really want to do that, but whatever. Do that, do that. As you can see, like, Raiden doesn't have enough ER in this team either. If you want to consistently burst. But the I didn't group these up. No, don't kill her. I didn't group this ideally either. You, bro. What was I saying? I should probably focus a little bit more. Let's heal up a little bit. Okay, can I get energy? Thank you. If you want to burst consistently, which in this situation, because of the pyro electors, you obviously Electro is not bad at getting through it. You definitely do want to burst more often than I did there with Raiden. But in general, the reason, like in that specific team, that having not having energy on Raiden isn't bad is because you can do Bennett C6 things, like I was mentioning before. This isn't exactly what I would consider an ideal Abyss for that specific team configuration, but that's kind of why I wanted to use it on that chamber, is to show that even in a bad situation for the team, it still does quite well. And like that was like first real attempt other than that bad attempt in the first one. So yeah, Star Rail giving a free limited 5-star in Genshin. Yeah, like the fact that they don't even want to, like, they're doing that in Star Rail, and like they don't even want to freaking do the pittance of, like, I don't know, give us a free standard Garrett or something. Well, like, Jesus Christ. I did not mean to press that button. I feel like this is the worst I've ever played Nubilant. Oh my god. Don't ask. Okay, now I'm... Oh my god, stop! Okay, Christ almighty, I'm so bad right now. I just can't play this game right now. I'm not doing polearms only. To be clear, I don't think I'm loving the Dendro main character Hyperbloom variation all that much, to say the least. Okay. Okay. I got double whacked by the Kairagi if it wasn't obvious. I didn't even get a fab trigger, it's fine. Okay, there they are. Rude. Can I switch my characters? Now I'm behind them for some godforsaken reason. Oh my god, I love latency. I can't switch my characters. Thank you. I love internet. I love the fact that Mario decided no, you can't switch characters because you might be hacking when you're switching characters. So we got to do a server check. Fuck you. That's what I can say. He just blocked the damage, man. Worse than the previous one, but it's fine. Okay. Bro, stop. Oh my god, bro. There you go. Like, you can see how fast I kill them, right? Let's kill this. Really? Okay, so let's do this. We have the freaking debuff on us, so we're taking whack tons of damage. Ow. Should probably try to burst him right in if I'm having a brain. Can I ever get a burst back? Thank you. I just want the burst for extra hydro, that's all. Lag! Man, I can't switch my characters. Frickin' I blame lag. Focusing, in case it's not obvious. Trying to, at least. Did I blow up the thing? I could have sworn I put Dendro Traveler's burst down and then hit it with Hydro. Hey, what happened? I don't have... okay. Okay, apparently Dendro Traveler needs about 8 million ER in this team, is what I can say. I mean, Jesus fucking Christ. Okay. Yeah. Alright. I'm playing bad, to be clear. I really dislike how that team feels to play with Dendro Traveler right now, but a big part of the reason is just I apparently need literally 300 ER in Dendro Traveler. A crit rate circlet would help too. That's actually leveled, so I could consistently trigger Fav. And having burst at the start of the rotation, not at the end. To go figure. But anyways. Let's move. Why are you stuck on the edge of the circle? I was waiting for them to come to me. Freaking these Kairagi, man. Like, God, I can't wait till this abyss is gone. Like, I haven't hated this abyss, to be clear. I think it's an interesting one, but it just like every godforsaken abyss, it's just like I feel like every abyss overstays its welcome. I think they should never have abysses last for more than a month straight. It is my general feeling. So, yeah, and the fact that some abyss cycles literally are around for 8 months or 8 months, 8 weeks, 8 months would be horrifying. So 2 months straight is so bad. It's so bad. That's what becomes unfun about the abyss, in my opinion. I enjoy that the abyss changes and trying to like work through it. But it becomes super unfun and gets super old trying to deal with it weeks and weeks in a row. I forgot to Nahi to tag, it's fine. And we killed him. Oh, you... Okay. Oh, well, you're gonna get health up, aren't you? Yeah, okay. Well, that was a little bad. Bro, how did I get hit there? I couldn't even dodge that because, like, I was still in the animation. Really? Die, please. Bro. Like, what the fuck, you game? That's all I can say. Okay, sure. Screw off, game. Is there a reason you're forcing these teams? People wanted to see Hybrid Raiden, and I put Hybrid Raiden in the non-ideal side for a reason. Because I wanted to show Hybrid Raiden in a bad scenario, because Hybrid Raiden in a bad scenario, in my opinion, best illustrates the strength of Hybrid Raiden. The Nubilat team is just a side effect of not using Nahida, because Mihayo decided to make it so Baiju applies absolute potatoes of Dendro application, although in my situation I think Baiju probably would have been better than Dendro Traveler, because my Dendro Traveler does not have enough ER. I didn't tag one of them. I can't switch my characters. Wasn't it for a showcase? What do you mean a showcase? I'm just showing you Hybrid Raiden, if that's what you mean by a showcase. I'm not purposely trying to showcase anything, though, other than Hybrid Raiden works. The reason I'm using Nubilet in the second side is because someone suggested Nubilet. It's definitely not the strongest team I could have used in in that side, I'll tell you that. I would not be having this problem. I have, like, my Yai team, or, like, Tignari team with Yai can clear, like, can you, like, be less of a prick? No, bro, game, I love the targeting in this game sometimes. I literally dash towards the other effer because he had more health, and I wanted to make sure he didn't get his health back. And the game's like, oh, you're dashing towards another enemy? You obviously wanted to attack the person they ran away from, right? Right. That's obvious. I love this game's auto-targeting. So, anyways, in hindsight, I regret doing Nubilet. I did Nubilet because someone suggested it. Can I, like, stop getting stunned, like, for microseconds every freaking time? Jesus Christ. I did not hit a die! Game, F off, Maho. Like, actually go F yourself. Let's move. Yeah, love this mechanic too. Yeah, it's always good. Whoa! What happened there? Did anyone see, like, just a splash of, like, 80 white numbers? Like, actually, what happened? I can't, that's, you can see how fast I just destroy them, right? Like, okay, good, we kept them grouped. So we got for the healing, this for the healing. I love that Raiden's E doesn't trigger, by the way, on these, because reasons. Bro. Hear the Inferno's call. Yeah, this Abyss is interesting, but it's real old at this point, is all I can say. If anything delays the hybrid riding video, it might be this Abyss, by the way, because even if the next Abyss is harder, when is the next Abyss? Relative to when Raiden's banner is. Yeah, I think it's fine, right? Because the next Abyss will be on January 1st, and Raiden's banner should be on the week after that. So my goal is to get in a really in-depth video on hybrid Raiden out. Okay, I should probably just quit with this team. Bro, let me do my shit. I want to have a really in-depth video out on hybrid Raiden before Raiden's banner. Which means I have some time, obviously. Stop it. Probably should have swapped into Dendro Traveler more there, but... Okay, I was worried that I was gonna pop the thing at least, but I didn't. Oh my god. Okay, yeah. This is the most kludgy Nubile team I think I've ever made. Thank you for whoever suggested this. To be clear, this team feels good with Naida, and it would probably honestly feel fine. It would probably feel fine if I had enough energy on Dendro Traveler. But I need a lot more, and I'm just gonna redo the Abyss. Because I'm sick of using that kludgy Nubilet team. I also don't know what weapon was on Nubilet. Oh, I put the event weapon on. That's probably fine. It's not... okay, I mean... that's why I was having some ER issues on him, to be clear, but it's fine. That was not the main issue the team was having. It was definitely Dendro Traveler. So we're gonna do that again with the same hybrid riding team, but to show like a not garbage team. I don't know if I actually have a healing bonus one, so I'm gonna keep that. Wow, quality. But most importantly, watch me get the EM timepiece. Can I click? Watch me get the EM timepiece I need. I'm sorry. Yeah, I know you're sorry. Not that team I enjoy, to be clear, but when I actually have Dendro application, turns out Dendro Traveler needs ER. I thought 230 would be enough. It was not in that team. Not without swapping to Dendro Traveler a very high amount, which I'm not saying I couldn't get used to it. I didn't get used to it there, right? I can make Nuvilat teams that are also better than that in general for that side, but no, what am I doing? Emblem. Feed the garbage in and get... if we get a circlet and a timepiece, I could be done with Emblem. Okay. 2 timepieces is good. Nice. Nice. Alright, perfect. Beautiful. Like I said, that's the best. That's exactly what I expected. 2 pieces of garbage. I definitely wasn't hoping for an EM timepiece with double crit or anything. I actually don't even need an EM timepiece with double crit. I ideally just want an EM timepiece with crit damage. So like my preferred stats on an EM timepiece for hybrid riding on Emblem, which I would really like to get, and this also might delay the video. I would really like to get an EM timepiece with crit damage. Attack versus an ER would be my ideal, but ultimately, for the purpose of the video, all I really need is something better than this EM timepiece. just better than this. That's the bar. I mean, the level 70 Dendro Traveler wasn't really the problem. Okay, so we're gonna do Baiju, Yai, Dignari. Trying to think if I want to do Official or Sucrose. We'll do Official. I don't think I haven't tried this team variation in a while. It's not necessarily ideal because if you didn't know, spread does not trigger Official. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Sucrose is probably better, but I just kind of don't want to have to think about swirling Electro. And Tignari is also, like, to be clear, if I do this, but with an Animo, for this Abyss, I think this is better. The reason being is, like, it's just better for Chamber 2, and it will get through Coppelius really fast. I just want to try Tignari, because I like Tignari. I like playing with them, so we're going to try Tignari. Right? We don't need to do the strongest variation of trying to get through, but, like, that team with Sucrose instead of Tignari here, I've been able to get through, like, Chamber 1, 2, and 3 in the second half in, like, 40 to 50 seconds. So, yeah. Anyways, we're going to do Hybrid Riding again, and see if we can set up some satisfying big numbers. The reason, by the way, if it's not obvious that I'm doing Bennett, like, E and then switching to, like, Nahi to do Q, is I have instructors on Bennett. If I had maidens on Bennett, which for a C0 Farina, you probably should have maidens on Bennett in this team for comfort, and for getting more damage percent bonus. But I have instructors on them because I don't have maidens leveled up anyways right now. And that's kind of all it comes down to. Hi, please. Okay. Let's try to kill this butthole right away. There we go. Okay. No longer have that problem. There we go. Let's not die with you. Oh, that was a bit close. We're fine. Oh, let's not die. Okay, we're fine. Nice 140k. Yeah. Yeah, this team is fragile, particularly without Maiden's Bennett. Okay, a little bit low on health, but it's fine. Leaks about the free weapon in 4.3 come out? Yeah, they've been out for like 6 weeks. It's the free weapon is a claymore for 4.3. It's a claymore that has 565 base attack, 36 ER if I recall, around 30 ER as a substat, and then it gives 24% attack in its passive. But then you can get an additional 24% depending on how many Melusines you have helped in the Melusine village. So it's up to 48% attack if you've done all the Melusine stuff. Which is a pretty strong event weapon in my opinion. I quite like it. Oops. These? Oh, wrong character. There we go.
Right now, emerge.
Mind the side effect. Midnight Venta.
Can't see? Let's nip that in the bud.
I'm always watching. Right here, emerge.
A bitter pill to swallow.
By royal decree.
One with the force.
Like I said, that a little bit stronger of a team as far as single target damage goes than my Nuvilet, than that jank Nuvilet Hyperbloom team, but yeah, go figure. Honestly, I think I'm gonna choose healing bonus this time. Make my life a little bit easier. Also, I have literally no energy on Freedom. Whoops.
There is no escape. Teamwork is dreamwork.
And we'll be able to see Pyro Riding thing now. So yeah, Pyro Riding with normal attacks just means you're getting more Burgeons and you're getting like either Vapes on normal attacks or getting Overloads or whatever. And yeah, it's C6 Bennett is arguably the best teammate for Hybrid Riding, but as far as like balance of getting, you know, and you're still getting value from Bennett's buff, right? But it's not necessarily the only option. But anyways, I'll have a whole video on like the team versatility options. It's just, it was the obvious choice for me with the C0 Karina. I didn't really properly sequence any buffs there, so it's whatever. Oh, well. There we go. I don't know if I have Bennett burst up or Radin burst up. We'll see. Chicken.
Mind the side effects. Taking a turn for the best.
Can't see? I hear everything.
What attack are you doing? Oh, good. Okay.
A bitter pill to swallow.
Nothing lasts forever. Right here, right now.
Seems like an emergency.
One with the force.
My royal decree.
Yeah, see, it's just a little bit stronger than the new that team. Wait, the weapon requires me to help those Melocines. Is that part of the event for like refinements? I believe it's outside. You don't have to do the quest for it. You get 24% attack and then an additional 24% attack if you want to get more. So, wait, I have Hunter's Path? I do have Hunter's Path because I did a 10 pull when the Tignari had his first banner, well, his only banner. When Tignari has banner during 3.0. And I did a 10 pull. And I got his weapon. I wasn't planning on getting his weapon. I was just like, hey, I won my 50-50 for Tignari. I have wishes left over. Let's do a celebratory 10 pull. I think I have it on a live stream from back when the like 3.0 launched. So it's in footage somewhere. I was like, all right then. It's my energy on riding. Okay, it's okay. I didn't have them tagged with Nahida. Okay, that's a slight damage downgrade. Whoops. Okay, let's try to do that actually correct. I don't know why I didn't tag them with Nahida. That was dumb.
Let me try my blade. Have a load of this.
Probably should ride in skill before for the start of this chamber. Ow! How do you not have whatever? Okay, I just got stuck in air or something and I couldn't switch. Game? Okay. Latency, love it. Can you jump? Thank you. Okay, let's do that. And do this, do that. Don't die on Bennett. I died on Bennett. Okay. Can Bennett stop dying, bro? Okay. Getting Maiden's Bennett. Maiden's Bennett will not have this problem. I have Instructor's Bennett. Bennett is fragile, and the whole team is more fragile for it. Just do Maiden's Bennett if you're doing C0, Farina, Nahida, Hybrid Red. Yeah, this Raiden build, I want to be very clear. In case you didn't hear me talking about it earlier in the stream, is with Staff of Scarlet Sands, and this team performs very differently without Staff of Scarlet Sands. Can you stop?
Let me try.
Bro, why does Farina take damage when she's like still doing her burst animation? Bro, I swear to God, I'm getting killed every single time when I'm in a burst animation. Like right as freaking Nahida's burst animation's ending, I'm just dead. And it's come on. Again, Maiden's Bennett. I don't know how much I need to emphasize this. So you're not eternally at 1/3 or 50% or less health. just do Maiden's Bennett. Good lord. I pressed Q. F you, game. You can do it in Star Rail. You want your Festering Desire? What do you mean they can do it in Star Rail? They don't do it. If you're talking about making event weapons after they're available, they haven't done that in Star Rail. Star Rail actually has the same issue where like there's a really, really, really good equivalent of a weapon in Star Rail that was in version 1.1 that you can't get anymore. Bro, the lag. What? I was in Bennett's Burst. How am I dying more in this attempt when I had a healing when I didn't choose healing bonus the last time? Oh my god. Like, Jesus, okay, just choose the healing so it dies slightly less at the beginning at least. Use Maiden's Bennett. Okay, I just did that wrong. That was just dumb. Oh, I need to attack you. God, freaking auto-targeting, man. I refuse to do this until I have a decent clear. It's not that I couldn't clear. Like, I can clear the second side really fast. It'd be fine, theoretically, but, like, it's annoying me at this point. I don't know if he's gonna jump in the right spot. Oh, he's fine. Okay. Can I move my character? What is happening? Finally, Jesus Christ. Okay. Oh my god. God, I freaking hate this burst animation, man. Floating down for about 10 years straight. Bro. Stop. Oh my god. Oh my god, don't kill Bennett. It annoys me so much that Raiden's skill doesn't work against these. Bro. Like, how time wasty is it? Like, again, it's not the fastest way to get through the lectors, obviously. My point is more to illustrate that, again, hybrid Raiden is versatile enough with element coverage and whatnot, and situational. It can front load damage. It can have constant damage dealing. It can have front loaded damage. It can have back loaded damage. You can control when you have a big bout of damage by nature of Raiden's Burst. But you're also still constantly having damage going in general. And then even in bad situations like annoying arse elemental shields like those things have, it's just a matter of, you know, having a better team in the second side to account for it. I'm not saying you use the team in every single situation, but a notable thing with hybrid Raiden, and this is one thing I'll really focus on, is like hybrid Raiden could be made better to clear that chamber a lot faster if I put in, instead of Bennett there, right, for the last chamber, a second Hydra unit. Right? And now hybrid Raiden is dealing with the Lecter phase way faster, and I can probably clear that chamber in like definitely a minute and a half, maybe towards even a minute, depending on what Hydras I use, right? So the point of that is to illustrate like that the problem is the enemies there. not the team. And Hybrid Raiden's strength is its versatility. Is the main thing. Hybrid Raiden with sauce. Like, Hybrid Raiden without Staff of Scarlet's Hands is a very different thing. And it becomes much more, like, much less worthwhile to do Hybrid Raiden. Not like that you would never want to do it. I do think, like, it would be something I would potentially do without Staff of Scarlet's Hands, but it makes a very big difference, and I'll explain that in the video eventually.
Right here.
Now here, all I need to do is not die.
Odds for
Easy, right?
Can't see.
Mind the
Please?
side effects. Taking a turn for the better.
I'll uproot you.
Emerge.
That was a little bit dumb. I wasted a lot of things there, but... Stop!
A bitter pill to swallow.
I'm always watching. Right here. Emerge.
Seems like an emergency.
By royal decree.
And Shroud. I hear everything.
There we go. Okay. Yeah, my Hunter's Path on my Tignari is like a big part of the reason why I just don't I don't bother investing in him any further. Because, yeah, I don't know. I got lucky and got a 10 pull and did one 10 pull in his freaking weapon banner just as a why not situation. I wasn't even planning on it. Yep, luckiest I've ever gotten because it really helps him. It makes him so much easier to balance his stats. Like, this is a much worse build if I, you know, put, what is a normal weapon on him? I don't even know. Skyward Harp or something, right? Let's say I put Skyward Harp. And, yeah. So, anyways. It's quite lucky. It's a good weapon for him, to say the least. And, yeah, it's a good weapon. I have good enough, like, this is obviously really good. This is not that great, but it's not total garbage, so it's good enough. And, like, yeah. This is really good. And then this is, you know, relatable. But the reason I use this onset goblet versus a better dendro goblet like this one is because I have a really good circlet that has a lot of stat value that I can use. So, yeah, it just makes it a lot easier to balance the stats. I definitely got lucky with that, but I could definitely improve my Dignari in a number of ways, particularly the feather in the goblet. If I got heck bent on trying to farm Wanderer's Troop or anything, but I just don't see a reason to when I have this. Right? It's just like, yeah. So, anyways, yep. I think that's mostly all I got for this stream. 4.2. It's been a very resource draining patch for me on my main account. 4.3 is going to be very much a polearms only patch for me. If you are interested in my thoughts on Cloud Retainer once we actually get leaks for her, check out my Discord or whatever. Any other questions or anything I missed while I was like being distracted? But did I get my rewards? I did get my rewards. So, anyways, for Navia on my main account, I think I really need a break on my main account from like getting new characters. I plan to get C0 Chevreuse on my main account, particularly because I want to be able to compare C0 Chevreuse to C6 Chevreuse on polearms only. And see, like, I really don't know. I know C6 Chevreuse is going to be super good for me on polearms only. I'd be very surprised if she wasn't. And I think C6 Chevreuse in particular on many people's accounts could be really good. The problem is most people aren't going to have C6 Chevreuse realistically. So I want to see how she is with C0 because her kit isn't useless at C0. I think she's a 4-star at C0 that fulfills like what she's intended to do. Without seeming like, oh my god, she's insanely overpowered or anything. And I'm very curious to try her, so I will get C0 Chevreuse just for like content's sake ultimately. But Navia is just like I'll probably make a video on Navia, by the way, because my brother is planning to get Navia, so I'll actually play around with Navia on his account. So I do plan to play with Navia, but I think I might do like a 10 pull for Navia on this account because I'm not disinterested in her. I am really interested in the idea of a Geo that can be flexed into many teams, and I'm interested in how the nuance of like her crystallized stuff plays out, and like because the main thing that could kill my current viewpoint that Navia has a lot of versatility is if the amount of Geo she applies F's with reactions to a point that, like say if I slotted in Navi instead of Kirara here, right? If Navia eats too much of the Hydro and Electro aura that's on enemies, to the degree that I'm getting less reactions, less damage from Yai or Farina or whatever, then Navia could make the team so much worse that she just feels bad to play, right? And therefore it's not an option to like slot Navi into this team just because I want to. But I don't know. Like, you get the point. So, we'll see. Is the event weapon Navia's best in slot free to play? Almost assuredly. Navia has high enough ER needs that, in most teams, that she's going to want some ER, that having a high base attack, good chunk of ER weapon, that also gives a whole whack ton of attack, is going to be really good for Navia. Yeah, the event weapon will be really good for her. It'd probably be my second best choice, if you don't, assuming you don't have, right, what do I have for Claymores? Assuming you don't have, you know, a 5-star, like Skyward Pride could be good for her too, because high base attack, ER gives damage bonus, like it's not the worst. If you have a high refined Sacrificial Greatsword, it's probably at least R3. I personally would prefer R4, R5. I think Sacrificial Greatsword is the most interesting one to use on Navia. High base attack gives her ER, and then gives her additional skill uses. That'd be super cool. That's what I would mess with. That's what I'm gonna mess with on my brother's account. He just got an R5 Sac Sword actually, or Sac Greatsword. But yeah, the event weapon, other than that, is probably gonna be the best option. The Fontaine craftable weapon for Navia should also be pretty good, assuming you're triggering its passive. So, you know, let's say you're doing Farina with Navia, right? And you're running a healer, then that means you should be able to trigger the passive. It doesn't have ER, it's just attack percent, I believe, but particularly if you have R5 of it, I think it can give some, like, you know, 70% attack at R5, which is ridiculous. So it could be pretty good. Yeah, Navia with the event Claymore, I think, has decent enough flexible options. Where is it? Yeah, this one right here. So yeah, it has attack percent, and then I think it's 510 base attack versus 565 for something like the event weapon or Sacrificial Greatsword. And because the ER is will be valuable on many Navia teams, I do think it's probably preferable to use the event weapon in most teams. But anyways, the attack value this adds, like the damage value this adds, is high. Yeah, 48% attack plus the like 30% attack it gives. So yeah, something like 70% attack when this is fully leveled, which is and R5, and even without R5, it still provides a lot of attack. So it's a good option too. I'd probably lean towards the event weapon though, right? Because the event weapon will give basically a similar amount of attack to this if you do the Melocene quests, but then also has ER and also has higher base attack versus an R1 version of this. I think an R1 version of this gives a little bit more attack, to be clear, but it's not to a degree where I think it would be worth it over the event weapon. But yeah, and then as far as like 5-star Claymores go, I do not think Navia's weapon is worth going for, but if you can get meaningful value, if you really like Navia and get meaningful value out of Mist Splitter, Mist Splitter is obviously one of the better generic DPS swords, and I think it's notably, I think, because Marshal Hunters exist now. Before, I definitely was more on the side, before Farina, and before Marshal Hunters, I was more on the side of like crit rate weapons are way better as universal stat sticks for characters, because because getting to a baseline crit rate that's good is more important than getting to crit damage, because crit damage does nothing for you, right? So if you have a big crit damage stat stick weapon, crit damage does nothing for you if you don't crit, right? But anyways, crit rate weapons I generally preferred, but because Farina exists now with Marshal Hunters especially, I do think crit damage weapons are probably basically equivalent in value, if not situationally higher in value, right? Depending on what you're doing. It's not like a big change, to be clear, but this is not what I meant to do. It's just a change that is interesting. So I do think like Mist Splitter is pretty good. I think it's basically tied with Jade Cutter in my opinion as far as generic sword stat stick value goes, for the most part. Better in some situations, worse in others. But like Jade Cutter is an example of with Marasase Hunters, it can be actually hard to utilize this sword with Marasase Hunters artifacts. Depending on what artifacts you have, though. It ultimately depends on what artifacts you have. If you happen to be like super lucky with, you know, 30% crit damage on every single artifact slot for Marasase Hunters artifacts, Jade Cutter might be cracked. Because like you could basically do Jade Cutter plus Marasase Hunters plus a tiny bit of crit rate and substats, and then if everything else is crit damage and, you know, attack or whatever other relevant stats, Jade Cutter could still be really good with Marasase Hunters. It just puts the onus on your artifact substats being very heavy with crit damage rather than and crit rate potentially becomes a dead roll, which is an annoying situation to be in my opinion. So it ultimately depends on your artifacts. But yeah, as far as other claymores go, like Beacon of the Reed Sea, if you for some reason have that, it could be good. Redhorn could be fine as a stat stick, probably, but it's like it's just stat stick, right? Gravestone is kind of the same thing as a stat stick. Skyward Pride, stat stick. Like Beacon gives you the most crit and gives you attack with not much shenanigans. Its passive is a little bit weird for, I think, the attack, though, if I recall. Wolf's Gravestone is whatever, but it'd probably be a decent option, and then Skyward Pride is fine. I don't actually know if Skyward Pride would be better than the Melocene weapon, by the way, with maxed attack, because Melocene weapon would have like 100 less base attack, and doesn't have the damage percent bonus that Skyward Pride does, but it has 48% attack, so I think 48% attack is probably better than the, what does this give at R1? I don't need lore. I think Skyward Pride gives 8% damage bonus at R1. I have an R2. Yeah, it's 8% damage bonus if I recall. So, you know, is 100 base attack, a tiny, like 1% more, 1 ER roll more, and 8% damage bonus better than 48% attack? I think the Melocene weapon might be better. The Skyward Pride. But yeah, my vote, if you have it, would be Skyward or Sacrificial Greatsword. So Redhorn would probably be fine. Yeah, Redhorn should be more than viable if you're not using it and you have it. Right, it's a big stat stick. Navia does ascend with crit damage, so right, you're gonna have the situation of what's a crit damage ascending character. If you're using Farina with Mars' hand, it's probably less of an issue. I don't think I actually have a crit damage ascending character that I can put a crit damage weapon on. Oh, I do. I have you. I could put this on, right? So if you have like Kaching with this weapon, well, Kaching has her own free crit rate buffing. Navi has no crit rate, right, in her kit. She has no free way to get crit. So you're at 88. You're at like 170% base crit damage with Redhorn on Navia, and and yeah, so, and the passive doesn't really do, if I recall, it's just like normal attack bonus, right? Normal charge attack bonus based on defense. That doesn't do nothing for Navia technically, because Navia will have some defense, right? And it will convert some defense to extra normal charge attack damage bonus, which if you're using Navia's on-field infusion a little bit is not nothing. It's not technically useless, but it's not going to buff the majority of where her damage comes from. So, yeah, it puts the onus in your artifacts to heavy crit rate substats. You're obviously doing crit rate circlets, that puts you at like base 36% crit rate. And like my target is always like 70% crit rate to feel like my character is critting enough to be considered like not it's fine. Like, oh, by the way, my Elan, for what it's worth, when I was using Elan briefly in the Abyss, nice artifact there. And also Fav. This is the build I have currently settled on for my Elan to power her down. From what I can tell, the damage I get on Elan due to my constellations, which give me +3 levels on these, and of course I don't use C6, but C4, C3, C4, and C5, and then C2 all result in a damage increase to a degree that putting a defense percent circlet on her, I think, causes her to combined with Fab Bow and a relatively normal-ish, like lower investment build, causes her to do a similar amount of damage as like a high investment C0 Elan would, C0 or C1 Elan. So, yeah. This is what I do. This is for all the people in my C6 Elan is boring video. They're just like, just put her on worse pieces. Which, without, like, it's just stupid that I should feel the need to do that, right? But yeah, this is the Elan circlet. Do you have Enkin network? Yeah. Beacon rerun in a single character banner? Maybe. I don't get why they didn't put, like, I mean, they would have been probably weaker, but like, they should have put Dia's weapon and Tignari's weapon on standard banner. Like, just make it a standard banner weapon. Like, Jesus Christ, Mihoyo. Like, would it have killed you? To, like, the two things I would have done is like, oh my god, on rare occasions, people would have gotten a slightly better weapon from standard banner, or it would have made weapon banner itself more valuable to wish on, which means people would be more likely to wish on weapon banner and probably more likely to spend money on weapon banner if you put slightly better standard banner weapons, right? I don't get why they're so averse to, like, I don't know. We wouldn't have this stupid problem with Tignari's and Dia's weapon maybe not ever existing again if they just did the obvious thing. I don't get it. They're standard banner characters. Put their freaking godforsaken weapons on standard banner. Yeah, whatever. The real reasons might be they just didn't want to like F with the ratio, right? Because you have two of every weapon type for 5 stars, right? You have 2 bows, 2 catalysts, 2 claymores, 2 polearms, 2 swords. Yeah. So they probably just didn't want to F with the ratio, I guess. But it's like, I don't know. The character ratio is already F'd. Like we have 2 pyro claymores, a hydro catalyst, a dendro bow user, a useless character. Chi-Chi's not technically useless. And then, you know, a sword character, and like there's no polearm character even, and there's no geo character. So like, I don't know, the characters are already effed up as far as like balanced 5-star characters on standard banner. Why do they care about keeping the balance in the weapons? I don't know. It's just so dumb to me. I don't get it. So,
staying the same forever is quite beautiful.
Imagine being so strong you have to depower your character. I know, right? Like, the main reason I did that, to be clear, is like to test with Farina, just so I could like, I did that in particular for testing with Noelle, because I was doing Wet Rock Noelle, right? So Noelle, Yelan, Farina, and then a flex slot. I've usually been using Yunjin, and if Yelan is too strong, right? Like the single target damage is just like, I can't get an actual gauge for how that team performs, so I have to power down Yelan. And the way I've done it before is usually just been like putting her on something stupid like a vape build and then just leaving the vape build, which like the vape build doesn't do much damage. Like 4-piece Gilded Dreams doesn't do much damage, but the 4-piece Gilded Dreams with like proper main stats, right? With a proper, you know, crit rate main stat and whatever, like gets more damage than this build does. Particularly when I use Aqua, right? So anyways, yeah, Aqua is kind of unused right now. My thinking is I'm probably going to use Aqua on Fischl actually. Once I get some, I need one more feather. I need another feather that's good for Fischl, to be able to put her on 4-piece of this set. So because Farina's using the only good crit value. Did I say feather? Flower. Only good crit value flower. She has a good timepiece. Has a really good feather. Off-piece goblet most likely, and then I have a not very good circlet, but it's good enough with Aqua that it wouldn't matter. And then I just need a better feather. Flower. God damn it. They both begin with FL. Or no, they both begin with F. I can't spell. Don't worry about it. Okay. Yeah, I wish that you could just switch constellations. It's a new event, first or second phase. I have no idea. For 4.3, I have no idea. But yeah, okay. Manuvi isn't the heart is blocking your message, Sylveon. Manuvi isn't shit. I'm just depowering him for real. Yeah, exactly. I'm also, Sylveon, I'm pretty sure your Nuvilet is perfectly fine. Whatever you think your Nuvilet has a problem with is in your brain. So, yeah, like, my Nuvilet's fine too. I just need to put Prototype Amber back on him if I use him. All I needed to do was swap. Just give Baiju Fav. Baiju I only really care about Amber with the Here, let's just do that. We'll just use this. I know it's a level 80 Amber, which it should be level 90, but there you go. And now my Nubilet's better. But yeah, I'm gonna switch it back for now, because this weapon's not bad. It's fine. It gives some ER. So, anyways, I don't know. Nubilet, since Farina's release, like, I haven't used Nubilet nearly as much. I don't regret getting him or anything. I'm glad I didn't go for his Constellation. I was considering going for his Constellation one. I'm glad I didn't. I'm also glad I didn't get his weapon, actually, because I think Staff of Home is more useful. In hindsight, because of the fact that I did Staff of Scarlet Sand summons, I really wish I hadn't spent the wishes on that banner at all, but it's fine. Because I could have avoided having to spend money for Staff of Scarlet Sands if I hadn't wished for Staff of Homo / his weapon. He's fine. I think he's a good character, to be clear. He's a strong on-field unit. I think the main things making him strong in particular and versatile is the fact that he's a hydro catalyst. And he can apply a not meaningless amount of hydro when you're not doing his big charge attack. And his ability to control his damage, being an HP scaler, having Marsh, let's say 100 artifacts. Like, I think he's a very good character. I enjoy playing him, generally speaking. I think most of the people that think he's overly strong, like overpowered levels of strong, are actually just seeing the fact that the good teams with Nubilet use really strong teammates. And ultimately they're doing a lot of the work, and he's just kind of being a driver for them that synergizes with them well, right? And that makes him strong, of course, but I don't know. I don't think he's as strong in a vacuum as most people are making him out to be when you don't have C1 in his weapon or whatever. I think the main people that think he's really overpowered are either not as knowledgeable about Genshin's mechanics, some mix of not as knowledgeable about Genshin's mechanics, or have his weapon / C1, which give him a not insignificant damage upgrade. So, yeah. He's fine. If I could go back in time, I think I would still get him, but I would not have wished on the weapon banner. That's kind of it. But I'm also not using him much anymore, which is kind of my main worry. My main worry when I pulled from him in the first place was like, he's an on-field Hydra unit. I have no idea if I'm going to use this character to any meaningful degree after, like, the first few weeks of getting him. Like, after the honeymoon phase of version 4.1 with Nubilet, and so far that has actually been the case. My worry has come true where I haven't really used Nubilet after version 4.1. I mean, I used him a little bit today, but then I stopped using him because, yeah. Anyways, he's fine. He's a good character. I just think people are overrating him a little bit. Slap him in Hyperbloom, give Lisa the support so I can turn my brain off. Exactly. He is a little bit turn your brain off character, but he still feels satisfying to play, and like the value of being able to do, you know, AoE damage. Being able to do AoE damage with Nubilet, like having that control over it,
Perhaps we could take a walk
is strong. Like, and stuff like the fact that you can do normal attack, right? You do normal attack, applies Hydra, which means like a core generation. You can do this. This, if you didn't know, is a charge attack. It applies Hydro, right? So the fact that he always has Hydro, right? The fact that he has some flexibility for swapping in and out. I think he has some clunkiness with like trying to get consistent rotations. Like I find many times I can't get a third charge attack out with him in many team variations. But that's fine. Like it's more than just like of a balancing thing, right? I don't know. It's not easy for them to balance Hydra units, I don't think. And I think they obviously wanted to make him stronger, one of the stronger units, but I don't think he's as broken as some people make him out to be. Would you not wish for C6 Yolanda if you go back in time? Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I talked to my friends like the night before I wished for C6 Yolanda, because the reason I went for C6 Yolanda was because I made a stupid promise where I was like, if you give 5,000 subscribers by the time Yolan's banner ends, I won't get C6 Yolan. And, or I will get C6 Yolan. And I did. like a few days before the banner ended, and I was like, okay, I'm stubborn, and I made a dumb promise, and I said I would do it. And it's not like there wasn't zero desire to have it, to be clear. There was desire. It's just it wasn't worthwhile. And I was talking to my friends. I was like, and they were like, "Yeah, you don't have, you don't have to do it, right? No one will really care that much." And they're absolutely, and he's out, like they were absolutely right. That none of my viewers would have actually cared if I was just like, I know I said I would get C6 Elan, but instead I'm just gonna get, one Elan constellation or whatever. Like no one would have cared. Yeah, I do regret it because it's just annoying. I really like Elon. I enjoy how she plays. But the things I find fun about her kind of stops with C1 and C2. C2 is less so, but C2 is because C2 has some extra synergy with C1. That's sneaky. But C1 I like over C2, and C4 is interesting as HP buffing, but I've rarely found this useful. It's mostly basically a damage upgrade for Elon. Yeah, I don't know. And it distorting how teams feel when I'm using her is annoying. That's why, powering her down or use her in silly ways. It's not like I haven't gotten value and fun out of her. I do enjoy her a lot. But I enjoy her less because of C6. So, yeah. And that's really dumb. That I enjoy a character I really like is less enjoyable because I invested more in them. Stupid. So yeah, I would absolutely not do that if I could go back. I'm currently of the opinion I might make more videos. Like in hindsight, I really wish I made my C6 Elan like what it was. I think I titled it "Why I Regret C6 Elan." I made that video like very off the cuff. Like it was one of the simplest videos I've ever made. It was just like I was making the video I posted the day after that video was a Vape Elan video, where I was like, hey, here's how you can make Vape Elan, and yes, I have constellations. With how I'm using Elan, they matter less than you might think. They don't matter, not at all. Obviously, they're increasing my damage, but like, and I ended up just having a lot of thoughts that I was like going into about C6 Elan and like how I wish I didn't have it and whatever. And then I was just like, what, this is just its own video. Let's just have a rambly video where I talk about the things floating around in my head about why I don't like C6 Elan. And it was meant to be more of a lesson than anything of my personal anecdote on like why C6 in characters is pointless in the framework of the game. And it's really only a thing that has you only do because you want to and you just want to waste money. But like there's so much better things you can do with your money, man. Like I don't know. And I think getting 3 character C2s, even in the scope of just spending money in Genshin, right? Not even what you can do with that money elsewhere. Just spending money in Genshin. I think getting 3 character C2s makes a lot more sense than 1 character C6. But and overall, the point I was trying to say with that video was like, yeah, these constellations shouldn't exist, and they have no actual reason to exist in the game, for the most part. So, the Constellation 6s. I can understand at a business level why, up to Constellation 2s for limited 5 stars need to exist. Like, these constellations I'd be willing to bet, quite confident, this is the majority, right? This, and then, of course, signature weapons is where a majority of the money that MiHoYo makes off of, like, characters comes from. I think they make a relatively smaller percentage of money on C6s. Not that they make no money. There's certainly plenty of those people that are just, I don't understand them. But plenty of those people that do, wish for C6 Nuvulet because they have it in their stupid head that they think that, I'm not saying you're a stupid person, but I think you have fallen to, manipulation tactics, human psychology, manipulation tactics if you think that, you need to get C6 for whatever reason, is all it comes down to. And, I don't know, there's no actual functional reason for it. It's just something you do because you want to. And if you want to, that's fine. It's your freaking money. But, like, I'm of the opinion that these shouldn't exist. Anything past C2 for limited 5-star specifically just should not exist. And I think if they did not exist, some characters would be designed in better ways. Like I think Raiden would be a better character at C0. Like without Staff of Scarlet's Hands, I think C0 Raiden is a decent character because of Hyper Bloom, because of her use as a transformative reaction enabler. But without Staff of Scarlet's Hands, I think C0 like carry Raiden, which is like how they intended her to be designed and used, is pretty bad. And I think her C6 should have been in her base kit, genuinely. I don't think it would have broken her character's kit. I don't think it would have made her vastly more useful, but it would have made her a much more interesting character. And I bet if they didn't do anything past C2 on a design level, they probably would have put C6 in the base kit. And I think there's other instances of that. Like I bet C6 Shenhe might be in her base. Well, maybe not. C6 Shenhe is potentially very broken in some ways, but some variation of C6 Shenhe might have been in her base kit. I think the number of characters might be a little bit more interesting if they didn't do that. I think it's just predatory is all it is. Like they might make 5% more money year over year, probably less in my opinion. But they might make 5% more money year over year by nature of C6s existing, and that's why they exist. Because from Ohio's point of view, if we can do something that makes us more money, why not make more money? Well, how about to be less predatory on other human beings? Go figure. You know, morals don't actually exist in capitalism, so it's fine. Anyways, has Ayato been power crept? I don't know. The thing is, Ayato is off-field, right? Like, I don't have Ayato, so I can't, like, properly, really meaningfully test anything, like, directly comparing an Ayato versus a Nubilet on my account. I would say for most players, yeah, like, I would recommend Nubilet over Ayato, but I don't know. It's weird because like the off-field advantage that Ayato has is really significant. Like off-field damage is significant. It's a big thing that makes like how many characters are on-field at any one time in Genshin Impact? It's greater than 0 and less than 2. You only have one character on-field. But how many characters are in a team? 1, 2, 3, 4. 75% of the characters you are using at any one time are off-field. Off-field characters are strong because they're more likely to have use because you can just use them off-field. Now, Ayato is an on-fielder too in a little bit, and his kit was definitely designed to be used with him on-field. Like, he doesn't apply an insane amount of Hydro off-field or anything, but he applies AoE Hydro off-field. And, well, okay, saying he applies AoE Hydro is a little bit weird. It's more like he applies Hydro in an AoE off-field. So, I don't know, it's just weird. I don't think he's good enough to, like, go for necessarily, depending on what other Hydro units you have. But if he's someone you like, I think you'd get value out of him, is kind of what I would say. It's just as far as Hydro units go, there's Hydro units are a problem. There's so many good Hydro units, especially when it comes to 5-star Hydro units. It's hard to justify. Like it's incredible how well they managed to balance Farina, in my opinion, without making her feel relevant, without making her feel overpowered. In my opinion, at C0, which is where it matters. Hydro. Alright, so as far as off-field Hydro units go, we have Xingqiu and Yelan. Candace is technically an off-field Hydro unit. If you ask me if I prefer Candace off-field or Ayato off-field as a Hydro unit, I think I'd prefer Candace, but I don't have Ayato. Ayato is more easy to use. You have to like really think about how Candace is C6. I'm talking C6 Candace to compare to Ayato, which is not necessarily a comparison you should make because C6 4-stars can oftentimes be harder to get than a single copy of a 5-star. But C6 Candace is where her Hydro application starts to be relevant, is why I'm taking that stance. And I think she's a more interesting and off-field, Hydra unit, but Ayato's Hydra does not require normal attacks. Candace's Hydra does still require normal attacks, so like the problem with Candace's Hydra is it just doesn't really have even with C6 relevance in the case, in comparison to the Xingqiu and Yelan, right? But it is AoE Hydra, which is actually not irrelevant. It's more relevant than I think people give it credit for. And it's AoE Hydra that you can control by nature of where your character's positioned. So, yeah, and she does front-loaded. Like, she can have a bunch of Hydra really quickly, which is, again, more relevant than I think people understand. I do think people undervalue Candace. And I think they undervalue her because they don't have her C6, and not enough people have her C6 and have, like, if C6 was her C1 or C2, I think the community would actually really like Candace. But anyways, Kokomi is obviously off-field and healer, so she's relevant. Yeah, I don't know. Like, Ayato is more relevant than Mona, I would say. Nilou and Ayato are not really comparable, in my opinion. Yeah, you could make an argument that Nubula is power-equipped Ayato for most players, though. For how most players would play either of these characters, right? Most players are playing Ayato on field to an extent that's similar to Nubilet, to a degree that, yeah, I would argue that Nubilet is just objectively better in general. But the off-field's important. Yeah, you're right. If you pull for off-field Hydra, you pull for Yelan usually. Yeah, I would never recommend Ayato over Yelan as far as an off-field Hydra goes, for sure. That's why it's like weird, and that's why you can absolutely make the argument. Because I think most people pulling for Ayato would end up using him not very much as an off-field. But like I actually pulled for Ayato. I think I didn't try pulling for Ayato. I tried pulling for someone, a 4-star that was on the Ayato's banner. I think Sucrose. Sucrose, when Ayato first ran, Sucrose was like the last main 4-star I didn't have. So I pulled on Ayato's banner for Sucrose, and I got a 5-star on Ayato's banner, but it was a Diluc. And so it's possible I could have had an Ayato. Be able to have more concrete thoughts, but I don't know. Anyways. Ayato doesn't require normal attacks. Yeah, I think I mentioned that before. Which that's a big difference, right? The thing is, now we also have Farina, right? And Farina has Hydra that doesn't require normal attacks. So, like, both Farina and Nubilet kind of, like, Nubilet is a more relevant on-field Hydro, and Farina, as far as like a Hydro that applies Hydro without doing normal attacks, is more relevant. But of course, Farina has the context of like Farina's whole mess of having to, like Farina is so weird in that like it's hard. I still maintain like my original stance where like it's hard for me to necessarily just outright recommend her because of the absurd extent which, oh, you put Farina on a team, well, now you got to factor the entire team around Farina. You got to factor the team around the fact that she doesn't have a consistent rate of Hydra. You got to factor the team around the drain. So now you got to use a healer, and now you got like, okay, what healer based on what other reactions you're doing, and like the whole team. And oh, she changes the artifacts of your on-field damage dealer to the best artifacts for your on-field damage dealer. Oh, goody. So like she warps the entire. It's very flavorful to her character. She warps the entire goddamn team around her. It's just like, oh, good lord. And that makes it like hard for me to just outright recommend her. And again, like Ayato is just like, you want to use Ayato as an off-field, you have enough ER and like press Q, right? And he do the off-field Hydro. And I don't know, Thundering Fury Ayato is an interesting, cool thing. I would, if I had him, I would definitely be trying for like infinite skill uptime shenanigans or whatever. But anywho's. I think that's all I got, unless anyone has any other. I've rambled for literally, I think, like 30 minutes to an hour. I still need to do dailies on my other account. I forgot. I I have other accounts. RIP. Okay, it's fine. It's fine. I will survive. It's fine. I will have a video, by the way, for tomorrow. If you didn't see it, check out my poems only video today, though. I tried physical zhongli. It was fun. Physical zhongli is really fun. I'll have a video for Fremine and getting another 5-star in weapons only tomorrow. And then next week will be a little bit different style of videos. I think I'm actually going to do you'd think I would have made more of these videos, by the way, considering how well the one did, but the video that I made on my friend's account, Can I Fix My Friend's Account? I'm going to do that for my brother's account. Which his account needs less fixing than my friend's account. So it's going to be a little bit different perspective, but I think there's a lot of like valuable things I can do by shoving some stuff on his account and like teach people about like some stuff with artifacts and whatever. So that's my plan for the next few videos. But yeah. Aito feels like a jack of all trades, master of none. Yeah, exactly. Worse on field than Nuvulette and worse off field than Farina. Exactly. I was surprised that amount of her drain wasn't drastically noticeable, so it was kind of hard to pay attention at first. Yeah, it's kind of weird. It's a lot and not a lot at the same time to me. So I don't know. I'm very curious how I think I'm gonna like her. I'm gonna like her a lot after I use C2. I really like her. Ooh, she just wants you to dive. I like her a lot, to be clear, without C1 or C2. And I think she's very balanced at C0, but C2 is going to increase her versatility for the things that I like doing, like DPS Kirara, right? Like DPS Kirara, for example, being that, you know, just prototype Amber can get max damage bonus with C2. At the sacrifice of some fragility, I can swap out Baiju in this team for Nahida. And that means, you know, DPS Kirara becomes much more valuable. Kirara will get a lot higher spread damage by nature of me having C2 Nahida, of course, but also just having like a 200 elemental mastery bonus, right? And yeah, the making prototype Amber be your only healer that's technically necessary to get max damage bonus is why I think C2 Farina is good. C2 Farina for like the damage upgrade for Farina herself is like not that relevant in the scope of the fact that any team with Farina is dealing damage outside of just Farina, so increasing Farina's damage is not that much of an increase in the overall team damage. But the supportive utility, I think, is potentially high, and that's why I have not activated it. That's why it's been 6 weeks and I haven't activated any constellations. I got to do a whole bunch. I got to figure out like what teams, because I plan to make a video that's probably something like, I waited 2 months to activate this constellation or something, right? It might come out the same week that I do Hybrid Riding. I gotta have to record a whole bunch of teams, like, here's how these teams work with C0 Farina versus C2 Farina. You can see, okay, the damage percent increase, if I like don't change anything in those teams, the damage the damage increase is like, okay, this much. But now if I consider that I can, you know, use just prototype Amber, not care about the damage increase on Farina because, you know, she won't be overhealing. You won't be healing enough to get that much extra HP, but you can get, you know, a better teammate by nature of like using prototype Amber or like things like Kuki, for example, even like the non-ideal healers. I thought she was going to drown. The non-ideal healers make it so that, like, you know, you can still get max damage percent stacks with non-ideal healers, and you get max damage stacks faster. So I don't know. And I'm a nutcase who likes doing, you know, DPS 4 stars all the dang time. Like when I get C0 Chevreuse, one of the main things I want to try, by the way, on C0 Chevreuse is just trying a vape Chevreuse, because she has like, so this is going to take investment, so, you know, more drain on my resources, but, you know, I have this really good Crimson piece. I have very good 4-piece Crimson, basically. I have this good Crimson piece. I have this really good Crimson piece. I have this really good Crimson piece. I have a near 40 CV attack percent time piece. I have 40 CV Pyro Goblet. And I have good circlet options. I have a crit damage circlet or a good crit rate circlet. This one if I need the ER. This one if I want just more crit damage, right? I have very good options, and I even have a freaking Staff of Homa to give Chevreuse on this account. So I absolutely plan to do a DPS Chevreuse video, DPS C0 Chevreuse with Staff of Homa and 4-piece Crimson most likely, because I have a potentially pretty cracked build. And notably, like, Chevreuse can vape, right? She is a pyro character, and she can melt even. I might actually do melt instead just for the funsies. And she has, you know, like a 700% multiplier, I think, at level 10 or something on her burst. I think it's like maybe 650. And then a 500% multiplier on her skill. Although the 500% multiplier on her skill requires triggering overload. So if you're doing vape or whatever Chevreuse, I think it won't be as relevant. But I don't know. It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see how good of a DPS Chevreuse is at C0. So, anyways, you can look forward to that. Lots of content planned. I generally speaking have more ideas than I have time to make videos. But that's a good problem to have. This shouldn't run out anytime soon. But yeah. What was my point with C2 Farina and Key Robber? Why did I start talking about that? I'm just so rambly today, good lord. Oh yeah, the point is like, the reason I like supportive constellations is to make doing dumb things better, like doing DPS Kirara or DPS Chevrus or whatever. So, yeah. Feel free to join my Discord if you want to yell at me. That's where I'm active on social media, by the way. I'm trying to say that more on my live streams in particular so people know that. Because I'm not really active anywhere else. Bye-bye.